Chapter 1264, Lu Changsheng, Don't be so shameless. Upon hearing Lu Changsheng's words, Song Cheng's expression instantly changed, becoming as dark as water. If it weren't for the fact that Lu Changsheng's reputation preceded him, and that this was by Lake Mountain, he would have acted out on the spot. The two of them had come bearing the verbal decree of real person Qi Yang. For Lu Changsheng to treat them with such disdain, it was as if he completely disregarded Red Sun Peak and his master, real person Qi Yang. A newly risen false core family, even with Lu Changsheng, a third-rank talisman master, was still nothing more than a dog in the eyes of Qingyun sect. Leave. Lu Changsheng said plainly, holding a teacup in hand, his expression calm and indifferent, displaying not the slightest courtesy. These words caused Song Cheng to smash the table with one palm, rising abruptly, intent on taking action, but Sima Qiuhua quickly pulled back her senior brother. While she did indeed relish the thought of her senior brother and Lu Changsheng clashing in a fierce fight, today's primary goal was still to rescue her family's patriarch. If things escalated too far, it would be difficult to resolve. Moreover, their master was not known to be the kind of overbearing person. If word got out that they had initiated hostility and acted aggressively, they would lose the moral high ground. Fine, don't say I didn't warn you. Sarch * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Song Cheng's face was dark, his tone sharp and biting, as he said, since Master Lu refuses to show respect to Red Sun Peak, I will report this matter truthfully to my master. As a disciple of a nascent soul immortal, he held an important position in Qingyun sect, normally, which patriarch of a family did not greet him with utmost reverence upon seeing him? Now, Lu Changsheng, a mere foundation establishment cultivator, dared to treat him this way. It truly infuriated him to the point of steaming. After saying this, he left the hall swiftly with Sima Qiuhua. At least they have some sense. Lu Changsheng watched the pair leave, lightly sipping his tea. For someone like Lu Changsheng who had cultivated for so long, such attitudes hardly provoked much anger. Responding in this way was partly because there was truly nothing worth talking about, and he couldn't be bothered to feign politeness. On the other hand, he also didn't mind the matter escalating if it meant drawing stronger allies into the fray. If the Sima family invited intervention from Red Sun Peak's figures, even a nascent soul immortal, and his own side was still able to handle them, wouldn't that demonstrate the strength of his backing? Would my lord like me to send word to Xiaoxia? Ling Zixiao asked, somewhat surprised by Lu Changsheng's actions. Still, she didn't dwell on it too much. She knew Lu Changsheng surely had his own reasoning behind everything he did. I'll pay Qingyun sect a visit myself. It's time to establish solid backing within Qingyun sect. Lu Changsheng said with a smile. Backing? Ling Zixiao was slightly surprised upon hearing this. She knew her lord already had connections in Qingyun sect, Xiaoxia and Zhao Qingqing, but did he have others? For someone to be considered true backing, strong enough to oppose real person Qi Yang, it could only be another nascent soul immortal. Could it be? Ling Zixiao's thoughts turned to her lord's history of romantic entanglements, and she revealed an expression of subtle contemplation in her beautiful eyes. Lu Changsheng didn't offer further explanations. He activated the fate-defying robe, his figure immediately merging with the void and vanishing completely. Senior brother, I heard Lu Changsheng is close friends with Xiaoxia of Kaiyun Peak. For him to act so arrogantly, it must be because he's relying on his relations with Xiaoxia. As Sima Qiuhua and Song Cheng left by Lake Mountain, she remarked. Sima Qiuhua had long investigated Lu Changsheng's connections within Qingyun sect, gaining insights into his ties. She knew that he had a Dao companion, a brother-in-law, and this layer of relations with Xiaoxia. However, Zhao Qingqing and Xia Zhaoyang were insignificant in their eyes. Only Xiaoxia warranted their attention. After all, Xiaoxia wasn't just a true disciple of Qingyun sect, she had the talent for core formation and was backed by masters and senior sisters who were all nascent soul immortals. Such standing and influence were far beyond what either of them could compare to. Now that Qingyi Fairy is overseeing matters in the Tianyuan secret realm and Kaiyun True Immortal has been secluded for some time, even if he asks junior sister Xie to mediate, what good will it do? Does junior sister Xie care enough about this relationship to offend our entire Red Sun Peak by asking Kaiyun True Immortal to break her seclusion? Song Cheng said coldly. Pausing briefly, he narrowed his eyes and continued, that Lu Chongsheng must think he can ingratiate himself with Kaiyun Peak, but he's sorely mistaken. Although he didn't know much about Lu Chongsheng personally, he was certain anyone capable of rising to this level within decades couldn't be foolish enough to provoke Red Sun Peak without reason. Such an attitude today must serve some hidden agenda. And the prior grudge between his master and Kaiyun True Immortal, causing discord between the two factions, was no secret. Thus, his first guess was that Lu Changsheng's refusal was an attempt to curry favor with Xiao Xie and Kaiyun Peak. That Lu Changsheng is nothing but a philandering opportunist. He's probably harboring feelings for Xiao Xie and trying to get into her good graces. Sima Qiuhua scoffed disdainfully, her tone frosty. Though she couldn't deny Lu Changsheng's strikingly handsome features, which were rare to behold in her lifetime, during the brief interaction just now, she noted his complete disinterest in her, coupled with an attitude she found revolting. I've heard junior sister Xie's cultivation technique requires her to forget love and sever ties to emotions. His efforts are destined to be wasted. Moreover, what kind of person is junior sister Xie? She is the Nine Heavens divine phoenix, destined to achieve core formation in the future. Lu Chongsheng may have some fortunate encounters, but he's still just a frog in a well. Where would he find the qualifications? Song Cheng sneered contemptuously. Years ago, he too had tried to pursue Xiao Xie, but his master had revealed certain secrets, leading him to realize such attempts were futile. Don't worry, junior sister, I will report this matter truthfully to master and mistress. Song Cheng said, glancing at Sima Qiuhua. I'll leave it to you, senior brother. After this matter is resolved, I will certainly reward you handsomely. Sima Qiuhua replied with a charming smile, her voice soft and gentle. Although Song Cheng showed little prospect of forming a true elixir, with his identity as a disciple of real person Qiyang, achieving a false core in the future was certainly within reach. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1265, and she fell short in many aspects. To break through to false core, she must rely on family support. Junior sister, you are too courteous. Song Cheng returned to his usual refined and gentle demeanor, speaking with a smile. His assistance to Sima Qiuhua during this trip was partly out of respect for his master's wife and also for the sake of the Sima family's reputation. If this matter was handled well, it would be akin to the Sima family owing him a great favor. Tisk, in the void, Lu Chongsheng watched the departing duo. He thought to himself that the two were not fools, they understood that his daring attitude earlier must be backed by some form of confidence. Unfortunately, my confidence is not Xiao Xie. Lu Chongsheng chuckled lightly. If his backing were solely Xiao Xie, he wouldn't have acted this way. Perhaps he would have feigned politeness with the other party. In the Qingyun region, or strictly speaking within the Jianghu country cultivation realm's framework, unless one possesses absolute strength, adhering strictly to the rules can indeed feel suffocating. Lu Chongsheng felt a spark of melancholy in his heart. Without the connection to Kaiyun True Immortal, if he didn't reveal his strength, he would indeed suffer losses in situations like this. Even though he could rely on disguise and camouflage to solve many external dangers. When it came to the suppressive rules of immortal sects like Qingyun sect and Heavenly Sword sect, he had no choice but to act within the boundaries of those rules. It's crucial to form more alliances, isn't it? If I could establish ties with nascent soul immortals from Wuxia sect, Spirit Taming sect, and Heavenly Sword sect, I wouldn't need to worry about such matters. Lu Chongsheng took a deep breath and exhaled long and slow, feeling that his journey was still a long way ahead. He resolved to find an opportunity to strengthen his bond with Kaiyun True Immortal. This way, his family would finally enjoy peace within the Qingyun region. Lu Changsheng stopped dwelling on the matter as his fate-defying robe radiated an invisible glow, propelling him toward Qingyun sect. Stopping 100 miles outside Qingyun sect, Lu Changsheng adjusted his attire briefly and retrieved a jade pendant. Although his connection with Kaiyun True Immortal was unique, it wasn't appropriate for him to directly enter Qingyun sect for a formal visit. He couldn't exactly say to Xiaoxia, "Shiyu, I have some business with your master," could he? Thus, he opted to use the jade pendant given to him years ago by Yun Wanshang. Ia the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As Lu Changsheng imbued the jade pendant in his hand with mana, rays of resplendent light shimmered around it instantly. Qingyun sect. At Kaiyun Peak, inside an opulent palace. Yun Wanshang sat cross-legged, her eyes closed elegantly, surrounded by delicate threads of radiant glow, exuding a profound and mystic aura. At this moment, as though sensing something, her eyes suddenly opened. She gently raised her hand, and a jade pendant shimmering with cloud-like radiance appeared in her palm. Yun Wanshang looked at the jade pendant with a hint of surprise. Although she had given the other jade pendant to Lu Changsheng earlier as a means for him to summon her in life and death crises, he had never activated it. This was the first time the jade pendant had been activated. Aside from the jade pendant, she had also given Lu Changsheng a token imbued with a seal of her divine skills. Now that Lu Changsheng had activated the pendant, it was clearly not a matter of life or death crisis. As she injected her mana into the jade pendant in her hand, the two pendants created an intangible flow of aura, indicating that Lu Changsheng was not far from her location and within range of contact. "What is the matter?" Without delay, Yun Wanshang spoke. Her voice was clear, melodious, and carried a trace of authority befitting someone of her stature. This pendant can transmit voice?" On the other side, Lu Changsheng was startled to hear Yun Wanshang's voice coming from the jade pendant. He had studied the pendant before and understood it was an exotic treasure capable of concealing aura and enabling mutual sensing. However, he had not delved deep enough to discover its ability to transmit spoken messages. "Senior, I have a matter I would like to request your assistance with." Knowing Yun Wanshang's straightforward nature, Lu Changsheng decided not to beat around the bush and spoke directly. "Speak." The pendant transmitted Yun Wanshang's crystalline, jewel-like voice. "Damn, this woman's so cold," Lu Changsheng muttered inwardly. However, he was well aware of her temperament, cold on the outside, warm on the inside. At once, he spoke with a slightly aggrieved tone, "Senior, my family business has been building for years. Recently, we established a trade caravan to earn spirit stones through commerce. Who would have thought that the Xuanwu Ridge Sima family, barbaric and unreasonable, would try to oppress my family? They forbade us from conducting trade and even sent people to ambush us. Get to the point." Yun Wanshang's voice resounded. "My son captured and suppressed the Sima family patriarch, Sima Tong, but the Sima family invited real person Qiang to intervene and sent disciples to my family," Lu Changsheng explained immediately. "Captured Sima Tong and Qiang intervened?" Yun Wanshang, upon hearing this, expressed a mix of surprise and confusion. She naturally knew that Sima Tong of Xuanwu Ridge was a false core immortal. If this false core immortal was subdued by Lu Changsheng, she could still understand. But now, Lu Changsheng claimed it was his son who subdued him. However, she didn't inquire further and said flatly, "How do you wish to handle this?" That depends on whatever is most convenient for you, senior. If possible, as long as the Sima family offers sufficient compensation, they'll be willing to let bygones be bygones." Lu Changsheng replied. "All right, I understand." As soon as those words fell, Lu Changsheng sensed the intangible aura from the pendant cut off. "She's that cold?" Lu Changsheng felt speechless. he hadn't even mentioned the compensation specifics. Nonetheless, since Kaiyun True Immortal spoke so decisively, he presumed she would not shortchange him. Looking toward the direction of Qingyun sect, Lu Chongqing thought about how it had been a while since had properly spent time with Xiao Siya and Zhao Qingqing. Now that he was already here, it was natural to pay them a visit, as well as check up on his children, brother-in-law, and Han Lin. Meanwhile, after Yun Wanshang put away the jade pendant, she spread her nascent soul divine sense and transmitted her voice to a woman in a courtyard outside her palace. Jinxiu, go to Luowang Hall and fetch recent intelligence regarding events in the Bai Lake Mountain area. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1266, Yes, Peak Master. Upon hearing these words, the woman immediately responded. A moment later, the woman named Jinxiu returned to Kaiyun Peak, presenting a jade slip. Boom! The palace doors swung open with a thunderous roar, and the jade slip landed in Yun Wanshang's palm. Refinement of Foundation Establishment Elixirs. Lu Wangshu, eldest son of the Lu family, Lu Pingan, merely 61 years old, quasi-third order body refinement. Yun Wanshang scanned these records with a trace of astonishment. Lu Chongqing had caused such a stir in recent years, it was no wonder he drew the attention of other family forces. However, upon noticing the specific details about Lu Pingan, her peerless beauty, as refined as jade, revealed a faint emotional movement. This information was startling. Even from her vantage point as a nascent soul immortal, the case of Lu Pingan was truly exceptional, worthy of being called a prodigious talent. As for Lu Chongqing achieving third-rank talisman master, she paid it little mind. During moments of physical intimacy with Lu Chongqing, she had long realized he harbored a tendency to conceal his strength. She simply refrained from probing further or exposing his secrets. Lu Qingshan, Lu Pingan, Lu Wangshu. Does Lu Changsheng's spiritual body have issues regarding fertility? Yun Wanshang stared at the jade slip in her hand, her eyes betraying a thoughtful expression. She harbored considerable disdain for Lu Changsheng's actions, regarding him as nothing more than a stud. Part of her feeling stemmed from a woman's perspective. The other aspect came from the principles of strong cultivators in this world, all focused solely on their cultivation, prioritizing detachment from worldly emotions. A man like Lu Chongqing, indulging in carnal desires so recklessly and with no restraint, how could he ever accomplish the great Tao in the future? Yet now, while examining this information, she suddenly realized Lu Chongqing might be walking an alternative path, a path tailor-made for him. Is there some type of spiritual body that aids in procreation, yet doesn't hinder cultivation? Yun Wanshang pondered silently. She had long suspected Lu Chongqing of having a mutant spiritual root or some rare spiritual body. After all, earlier detection revealed Lu Changsheng's spiritual root was of 8th grade. But later, when she accessed his records, she discovered he had been assessed as possessing 9th grade spiritual root during his early years at Qingyun sect. An improvement in one's spiritual root was exceedingly rare in the cultivation world. Such occurrences were not impossible, though. Some mutant spiritual roots were so obscure that early detection yielded no results, or they showed low quality, only to awaken and manifest their true powers during the slow progression of cultivation. Likewise, certain spiritual bodies might exhibit similar effects, even concealing or altering the readings of spiritual roots. Jinxiu, go handle the grievances between Bai Lake Mountain and the Sima family of Profound Martial Ridge. Ask Bai Lake Mountain what compensation they'd require, then bring Sima Tong to the enforcement hall and notify the Sima family to come fetch their people. After deliberating for a moment, Yun Wanshang gave the order to the woman outside and tossed her a token. Yes, Peak Master. Jinxiu responded with respectful compliance. After Jinxiu departed, Yun Wanshang paused briefly before taking out a jade pendant. Once the qi mechanisms intertwined, she spoke, I've sent someone to handle the matter. Make your way to Qingyun sect. When you see Xia, explain it like this. For reasons unknown, upon saying these words, Yun Wanshang inexplicably felt like she and Lu Chongsheng were sneaking around behind Xiao Xia's back. Though she had acted first, an inexplicable sense of guilt toward her disciple Xiao Xia crept over her. Huff! Yun Wanshang exhaled softly, her breath carrying hints of fragrance as she gazed at the jade slip in her hands, her thoughts drifting slightly. Unbidden, memories of the soul path dreams arose, those visions where she bore a son with Lu Chongsheng. The connection between those eerie soul path dreams and reality seemed faintly intertwined. If Lu Chongsheng truly harbored some extraordinary spiritual body, capable of producing unparalleled offspring even with average women, should she bear a child with him, might it truly align with those glimpses from the soul path dreams? Humph. Yun Wanshang's expression chilled as she dispelled these unwelcome thoughts, resuming her seated meditation to nourish her golden core. Meanwhile, within a lavish palace on Red Sun Peak. Lu Chongsheng directly told you to leave? A dignified, elegant woman in her 30s, dressed in a green Daoist robe with her jet black hair styled into an ornate bun, gazed at the two individuals before her and inquired. Master, we would never dare deceive you about such a matter. Sima Kua's expression was one of respect, though her eyes revealed helpless bitterness. Mistress, that Lu Chongsheng from Bai Lake Mountain and Xiao Xia are close friends. His refusal to our Red Sun Peak is likely an attempt to ingratiate himself with Kaiyun Peak and align with them. Sar the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Song Cheng explained with a bow. Kaiyun Peak. Upon hearing the name, Song Qingzi's features instantly darkened with displeasure. Who within Qingyun's sect did not know of her long-standing feud with Yun Wanshang? Yun Wanshang could be tolerated. But for a mere foundation establishment cultivator from a newly risen false core family to insult her so blatantly? A little foundation establishment cultivator does not have the privilege of choice or refusal in such matters. Song Qingzi reprimanded coldly. Her stake in this issue wasn't solely for her disciple Sima Kua's sake. She had noticed Bai Lake Mountain's underlying complexities, be it Lu Chongsheng or Lu Pingan, both appeared to possess extraordinary fortuity. Were she to pursue this fortuity outright, it would be improper and unsightly. However, if Bai Lake Mountain aligned with her Red Sun lineage, this fortune would inevitably fall into her grasp. To her dismay, not only had Bai Lake Mountain rejected her invitation, but they had also entangled themselves with Kaiyun Peak. I shall see where this Lu Chongsheng finds such audacity. Song Qingzi rose to her feet, preparing to personally visit Bai Lake Mountain. She would uncover the source of his boldness. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1267, Song Qingzi, accompanied by Song Cheng and Sima Qiuhua, stepped out of the palace and prepared to head to Bai Lake Mountain to demand justice. Lu Chongsheng. As the three approached the mountain gate, Song Cheng and Sima Qiuhua suddenly spotted a man in a green robe not far away. The man was strikingly handsome, exuding a demeanor as elegant and unworldly as a lofty pine tree swaying in the wind. Their expressions froze momentarily. They hadn't expected that shortly after their own return, Lu Chongsheng would show up at Qingyun's sect as well. This affirmed their suspicion. Lu Chongsheng must have come here to seek an audience with Xiao Xia. Shernnyang, Song Cheng immediately turned to address his master's wife, Song Qingzi, respectfully. So he is Lu Chongsheng? Song Qingzi's black hair was elegantly coiled into a jeweled bun, and she wore a loose-fitting green Daoist robe that did little to conceal her voluptuous and perfectly proportioned figure. Upon hearing Song Cheng's words, her gaze, resembling the tranquil clarity of autumn lake water, swept toward the man. Dressed in a green robe, with an incomparably handsome face and a poised bearing akin to a noble orchid or a jade tree swaying gracefully, Lu Chongsheng stood there serene and at ease. A faint ripple stirred in her eyes. She had heard of Lu Chongsheng's reputation before and knew of his existence, but she had never seen him in person. Now, looking at him in the flesh, he appeared so ethereal, like a banished immortal who had stepped out from the pages of a painting. Her heart couldn't help but stir with a sense of amazement and a faint tremor of excitement. It wasn't as if she had never seen a good-looking person before. In the cultivation world, individuals with remarkable beauty were a dime a dozen. But Lu Changsheng was not only strikingly handsome, he carried an inexplicably magnetic aura. Just looking at him was enough to make her feel a faint intoxication, as if bathed in the gentle breeze of spring, stirring within her an instinctive goodwill and sense of closeness. So much so that the anger she had felt moments ago at the prospect of questioning him over grievances all but dissipated while taking in his elegant aura, comparable to pine trees and verdant cypresses. Looking at him now, Song Qingji instinctively chose to believe that such a person could not have bad intentions. She began suspecting that her apprentice and Song Cheng might have exaggerated their tale and twisted the facts to inflame her temper. After all, she was well aware of the personalities of the two. Though they wouldn't dare outright lie to her, their arrogance toward a minor family under their jurisdiction probably played no small part in making a mountain out of a molehill. Even Sima Qiuhua, gazing at Lu Changsheng, found herself momentarily dazed. She had recently met Lu Changsheng at Bai Lake Mountain. She had to admit, he was undeniably a rare specimen of male beauty. The Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But no matter how extraordinary he had seemed back then, he now looked even more transcendent, dazzling beyond compare, leaving an impression so captivating that all dislike or aversion she once harbored for him melted away as though they had never existed. What's going on? Is this some kind of bewitching technique? A sudden pang of unease struck Sima Kua's heart, leading her to consider the possibility that she might have been enspelled by Lu Changsheng's art of seduction. Yet upon deeper reflection, she realized there was no such spell at play. Instead, it became clear that Lu Changsheng now possessed an aura so refined and refreshing it irresistibly drew people closer. Though Song Cheng could sense Lu Changsheng's newfound refinement and charisma, he didn't feel particularly affected. In his mind, this was merely evidence that Lu Changsheng had deliberately groomed himself to come here seeking Xiaoxia. What good is a handsome face? Junior sister Xia isn't someone so shallow. Song Cheng sneered internally. So, you are the infamous Lu Changsheng of Bai Lake Mountain? Song Qingji stepped forward and asked Lu Changsheng directly. Her flawless and graceful features bore an air of regal elegance, her arched brows reminiscent of willow branches, exuding faint traces of stately authority. Sima Qiuhua and Song Cheng exchanged surprised and puzzled glances upon witnessing this scenario. What was happening? Though others might not know, the two of them were well acquainted with their master and master's wife's temperament. Ever since Song Qingzi's core formation failure, resulting in her being left with a false core, her previously steady personality had grown erratic and volatile. Just moments ago, she had been seething with rage, ready to storm Bai Lake Mountain to demand retribution. Now, with one glimpse of Lu Changsheng, her demeanor had inexplicably shifted into something as placid as a spring breeze. Could this be the calm before an even greater storm? Is Shenyang perhaps at the height of her fury right now? Song Cheng speculated secretly. In contrast, Sima Qiuhua glanced at Song Qingji with a peculiar expression. Internally, she mused that her Shizun, master, might be preparing to let this matter slide simply because of Lu Changsheng's extraordinary appearance and demeanor. She knew her master was an ultimate face-con who had an unshakable obsession with physical beauty. Even the disciples and servants Song Qingji recruited were subject to stringent standards of appearance. Yes, I am indeed Lu Changsheng, Lu Changsheng responded with a slight bow of courtesy toward the approaching Song Qingji. Though he didn't recognize her personally, glimpsing Song Cheng and Sima Qiuhua nearby allowed him to deduce that she must hail from Red Sun Peak. Judging by the circumstances, it was likely that they had come with the intention of causing trouble for him. However, something about her current attitude struck him as a little odd. Typically, Lu Chongsheng rigorously restrained the effects of the immortal beauty technique, peach blossom goo, and flawless heavenly fragrance body. On this particular visit, had deliberately chosen to let their effect seep through, thinking he'd need every edge to soften Yun Wansheng's aloof and guarded nature, an endeavor he already anticipated to be exceedingly difficult. To be honest, though, he hadn't utilized these abilities for years. Especially after breaking into core formation, with the peach blossom goo having ascended to the 3rd rank and the flawless heavenly fragrance body unlocking deeper effects, he himself wasn't entirely certain of the potency of his allure anymore. Judging by the reaction of the false core immortal in front of him, however, it seemed that the charm factor was rather effective. Buzz, at that moment, a faint transmission from the peach blossom goo at the center of his brow surfaced. It hinted that if he handled this moment carefully, there was a fair chance for him to forge a peach blossom fate with the woman before him. Damn it, how desperate are you? Lu Chongsheng cursed inwardly at the peach blossom goo. The parasite had only recently ascended to the 3rd rank, thanks to the lucky draw of peach blossom fortune it had absorbed from Binger. But now, advancing to the 4th rank required an astronomical amount of love fortune, something nearly impossible to estimate. The issue at hand was, this woman bore all the hallmarks of maturity in her elegant, imposing demeanor, an unmistakable noble charm exuding a maternal grace. How could he, Lu Chongsheng, involve himself in such an indecent entanglement? Not to mention that juggling both Xiaoxia and Yun Wansheng's entangled relationships was already enough of a head-splitting problem for him. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1268. If I were to cause such trouble in the Qingyun sect again, I'm afraid there would be an incident. I had my disciple go to Bai Lake Mountain to invite Lu Mountain Lord to serve as a guest elder for our Red Sun lineage. I wonder why Lu Mountain Lord refused. Song Qingji continued to speak, her voice exuding an elegant and noble aura. My disciple? When Lu Chongsheng heard these words, he paused in his heart. He immediately guessed the identity of the woman in front of him. The Dao companion of real person Qiyang, Yuji real person Song Qingji. However, the other party was a false core immortal, and this gentle inquiry about why he refused the invitation made Lu Chongsheng somewhat surprised and suspicious. He pondered whether this peak master's wife's temper was quite good. Or perhaps, as long as one looks handsome, the world is much more forgiving. I am not yet well acquainted with the situation at Qingyun sect, so I came this time to inquire with a friend and learn about the various peaks and lineages of the supreme sect. Furthermore, your disciple is involved in the grievances between the Sima family of Profound Martial Ridge and my Bai Lake Mountain. They wish to resolve these grievances but are unwilling to provide adequate compensation, so I am afraid I cannot accept. Lu Chongsheng stood tall and straight, his eyes deep and bright, speaking in a composed manner. He usually responds well to soft words rather than harsh ones. If others speak well to him, he naturally speaks well in return. Listening to Lu Chongsheng's words, Song Qingji thought the issue indeed lay with the grudges between Bai Lake Mountain and the Sima family. It must have been her disciple and Song Cheng's aggressive approach that led to this mess. Otherwise, this Lu Chongsheng here is no fool. How dare a Foundation establishment family with just false core combat power offend our Red Sun Peak? Even if he has the connection with Xiaoxia, he couldn't possibly do such an irrational thing. Song Qingji cast a cold glance at Sima Qiuhua and Song Cheng, making them shudder. Then, looking at Lu Chongsheng with a warm and gentle smile, she said, "If Lu Mountain Lord wants to understand the situation at Qingyun sect, I could certainly introduce you to it. As for the enmity between the Sima family and your Bai Lake Mountain, it is said that grudges are better resolved than left unresolved. If Lu Mountain Lord has any requests, do let me know. I am willing to act as a mediator and help you resolve them. Otherwise, both of your families are significant families under our Qingyun sect's jurisdiction. Continuing this conflict benefits no one, and our Qingyun sect does not wish to see such a thing either." So said Song Qingji. These words were not untrue. For foundation establishment clans and false core families, the Qingyun sect would pay attention. If such families were to clash majorly and cause an incident, the Qingyun sect would step in to mediate. As for how to mediate, generally, both families would face heavy penalties. And since the Sima family is an old false core family, having operated in Qingyun sect for many years, they have connections not only with her Red Sun Peak but also with some other lineages and disciples. So, in the end, the one at a disadvantage would still be by Lake Mountain. At this moment, not far away, Song Cheng and Sima Qiuhua were stunned, utterly confused. What the heck? How did their mistress and master become like this? Especially Song Cheng. He felt that mistress' tone was never this good even towards master. Could it be mistress is deliberately doing this, luring Lu Changsheng, and once he agrees, our Red Sun Peak would have the upper hand? And could even disgrace Kaiyun Peak? Song Cheng speculated in his heart. Beside him, Sima Kua's expression became increasingly peculiar. Thinking, could it be that his master really fancies this pretty boy Lu Changsheng? Although Lu Changsheng indeed looks exceptionally handsome, this is too outrageous, isn't it? Thank you for the real person's kindness, but Lu Changsheng pondered, thinking this peak master's wife is really too enthusiastic. He wanted to respond, intending to decline politely. Just at this moment, a woman in colorful palace attire, with an exceedingly beautiful face, her elegant hair pinned up with a phoenix hairpin, exuding a noble and graceful aura, appeared. Why are you wasting time here? Yun Wanshang saw Lu Changsheng and Song Qingji chatting enthusiastically and spoke icily with majesty. With just a blink of an eye, how could you chat with someone like this? Didn't you say that Red Sun Peak was too overbearing? How come you're now chatting with the wife of the Peak Master? Sar the novel, F. Iyer. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Seeing Lu Changsheng behaving like a male enchanting demon, Yun Wanshang felt displeased in her heart. After speaking, she slightly raised her hand, a wave of mana carrying Lu Changsheng toward Kaiyun Peak. Leaving only a flat, authoritative sentence hanging in the air, Kaiyun Peak wants this person. Yun Wanshang. Song Qingji watched Yun Wanshang take Lu Changsheng away, her dignified and beautiful face instantly turning gloomy. It wasn't that Yun Wanshang taking Lu Changsheng caused her anger and shame. As a dignified false core immortal, she wouldn't fall in love at first sight with Lu Changsheng. But it reminded her of the past when she could have exchanged for a coagulation crystal elixir and prepared to advance to core formation. But Yun Wanshang rose forcefully, exchanged for the coagulation crystal elixir, causing her to wait until the next round. In the end, Yun Wanshang succeeded in core formation, while she failed, and had to settle for condensing a false core instead. Now, her disciples were not as good as Yun Wanshang's, and even when she tried to recruit a small family force and a talisman master, Yun Wanshang came out to compete with her, filling her heart with burning anger. How could Kaiyun True Immortal appear? Song Cheng and Sima Qiuhua beside them were both stunned, shivering. What is happening today? Did they see a ghost? First, their mistress and master treated this Lu Changsheng differently. Now, Kaiyun True Immortal even personally came to take Lu Changsheng away. Wasn't this Kaiyun True Immortal supposed to be in closed-door cultivation? They were very bewildered, even a bit panicked inside. Why are you here embarrassing yourself? Go back. Song Qingji, seeing Song Cheng and her disciple, said with an incredibly cold face. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1269. The two trembled violently and dared not say more, obediently following Song Qingji back to Red Sun Peak. Kaiyun Peak. Greetings, Master. Xiao Xia looked at her master and Lu Changsheng standing before her, bewildered. What's going on? How is master together with Changsheng? From now on, he will be Kaiyun Peak's visiting noble servant. Xia, take him to the record hall for registration. Yun Wanshang did not explain much to her disciple, tossing out a handwritten decree and speaking curtly. After finishing her statement, she left Lu Chongsheng behind and returned to her own palace. Chongsheng, how did you end up with Master? Xiao Xia's beautiful eyes carried confusion as she looked at Lu Chongsheng, trying to understand how he managed to be brought into Qingyun's sect by her master. Although her master knew of Lu Chongsheng, the two had supposedly never interacted before. Besides, hadn't master been in closed-door cultivation all these years? Xia, this is a long story. Lu Chongsheng had anticipated this scenario long ago, and he immediately adopted a dreamlike, reflective demeanor as he recounted his acquaintance with Yun Wanshang. He described how, 56 years ago, while traveling between Nine Dragons Market and Qingzhou Mountain, he had witnessed a fierce battle in the distance and quickly hid. After waiting for the battle to subside for a long time and preparing to leave the dangerous area, he encountered a heavily injured nascent soul immortal. At the time, he did not recognize Kaiyun True Immortal but still chose to treat and save her. Afterward, Kaiyun True Immortal gave him a token, stating that if he encountered danger, he could activate the token or come to Qingyun's sect to seek her help. However, all these years, I haven't encountered any major trouble, so this token had remained unused. A few days ago, due to Pingan's issues with the Sima family invited disciples of the Qiang True Immortal, who came to Bai Lake Mountain carrying Qiang True Immortal's decree, and so I thought about the token. I figured that using the favor from back then might allow me to establish a solid connection within Qingyun sect. But I never expected that the person I saved would turn out to be your master, Kaiyun True Immortal. Lu Chongsheng spoke earnestly, mixing truth with lies, full of emotion. 56 years ago, Xiao Xia suddenly recalled that back then, her master had indeed gone out to refine the red dust elixir for her and returned with a somewhat unstable aura, as if she had been injured. However, hearing that Lu Chongsheng had saved her master, Xiao Xia felt a trace of oddness in her heart. Years ago, she herself had been saved by Lu Chongsheng. Her senior sister had also escaped danger thanks to Lu Chongsheng's intervention, saving her life. And now it seemed that her master had also been rescued by Lu Chongsheng. Could it be that all three of them, the master and her two disciples, had been saved by Lu Chongsheng? Moreover, Xiao Xia vaguely felt that her master's relationship with Lu Chongsheng wasn't that simple. She recalled how, years ago, when she had asked her master to approve her union with Lu Chongsheng, her master's attitude, and Lu Chongsheng's affairs with Lady Meng at Qingyun sect, had seemed strange. Actually, I vaguely guessed years ago that the person I saved back then was Kaiyun True Immortal, but I wasn't sure. Lu Chongsheng knew Xiao Xia to be sharp and perceptive. She might deduce something about his connection with Yun Wanshang. Reaching out, he gently held Xiao Xia's delicate hand and said proactively, I remember you once mentioned that True Immortal has some minor grievances with Red Sun Peak. And Kaiyun True Immortal's token, I really don't have much use for it now. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to confirm. If things go well, not only can we resolve the troubles with Red Sun Peak and secure a strong support for the family within Qingyun sect, but I can also use this chance to gain an official affiliation with Kaiyun Peak. This will make visits to Qingyun sect easier, allowing me to assist you with your cultivation technique issues. Moreover, with this favor from the past, if I perform well, it will be much easier for us to request True Immortal's approval of our union in the future. Lu Chongsheng's voice was gentle and filled with deep affection. Although his words, upon closer inspection, had some inconsistencies, he wanted Xiao Xia to notice them now and prepare herself mentally for what was to come. CTH Novel Fire. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chongsheng, Xiao Xia was cultivating the supreme forgetful love technique, a method that would normally make her quick to discern discrepancies in such situations. Yet, whenever she was with Lu Chongsheng, the technique seemed ineffective. Especially now, with Lu Chongsheng activating his enchanting demon-like aura, even Xiao Xia found herself subconsciously influenced, not reflecting deeply, trusting Lu Changsheng wholeheartedly, and feeling touched. After chatting for a while, Xianxia then led Lu Changsheng to register his visiting noble servant status. If it were for an honorary elder, the Qingyun sect leader's approval was required. However, for a visiting noble servant, the approval of the respective peak's peak master would suffice. That shameless scoundrel. Full of lies. Within the palace at the peak, Yun Wanshang used her divine sense, her expression both anxious and indignant, as she listened to Lu Changsheng and Xiaoxia's conversation. Seeing Lu Changsheng deceitfully gazing affectionately at her disciple, her frustration burned deeply. Yet, upon hearing Lu Changsheng claim he could help Xiaoxia resolve her cultivation technique issue, she was somewhat surprised and puzzled. She knew perfectly well the intricacies and profundity of the supreme forgetful love technique. Once cultivated, it led down an irreversible path unless abandoned entirely. But now, Lu Changsheng claimed he could resolve Xiaoxia's issue with the technique? How could he have such confidence? Could he be lying to Xiaoxia again? However, Yun Wanshang felt that Lu Changsheng's words might not be entirely baseless. Moreover, Xiaoxia was pure-hearted, though emotionally swayed now, surely she couldn't keep being blindly deceived. Could it be that this scoundrel truly has a solution? Yun Wanshang pondered deeply as she thought about Lu Changsheng's various peculiarities. She had always known that Lu Changsheng possessed extraordinary opportunities and secrets. But with time and deeper understanding, she found herself increasingly struck by how unique and extraordinary those secrets were, far beyond those of an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator. If this scoundrel can truly solve Xia's problems, Yun Wanshang suddenly recalled the 50-year agreement Lu Changsheng had made with her years ago. If he and Xiaoxia could both break through core formation within 50 years, she had promised to approve their union. She had even outright stated that if they succeeded in reaching core formation, she would personally host their Dao companion ceremony. Thinking back now, Lu Changsheng actually had considerable hope for a breakthrough into core formation. As for Xiaoxia, as long as she could overcome her emotional tribulations and sever her connections to sentiment, reaching core formation was not an issue. At this moment, Yun Wanshang faintly sensed that Lu Changsheng had deliberately set her up back then. That despicable scoundrel. Thinking of this, Yun Wanshang felt a surge of frustration, her pale hand clenched tightly. Junior sister Kaiyun. At this moment, Yun Wanshang heard a deep, resonant voice, the Qingyun sect leader. A moment later, Yun Wanshang transformed into a stream of rainbow light, flying from Kaiyun Peak toward the main hall of Qingyun sect's main peak. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1270, with Kaiyun True Immortal's personal decree and Xiaoxia, a true inheritor of Qingyun sect, accompanying him, Lu Changsheng's visiting noble servant registration was completed smoothly. Lu Mountain Lord, now that you have become a visiting noble servant of Qingyun sect, your sect tributes can be halved from now on. The registrar elder, having completed the procedure for Lu Changsheng, said courteously. Currently, with the dual core formation cultivators of Kaiyun Peak, its status is extraordinary. Lu Changsheng's ability to secure Kaiyun True Immortal's decree and become a visiting noble servant earned him notable favor. Moreover, for someone of Lu Changsheng's age to have advanced to the level of a third-rank talisman master demonstrated extraordinary talent in the talisman path, worthy of forging connections. Thank you, Elder Lin. Lu Changsheng replied courteously. Currently, with control over spiritual lands such as By Lake Mountain, White Tiger Mountain, and Flower Fruit Mountain, the annual Spirit Stone tribute totals 35,000 pieces. SAR the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This is no small amount, having it is quite a favorable outcome. However, aside from this benefit, other welfare is rather ordinary. Beyond the ability to exchange heavenly and earthly treasures and cultivation techniques through Qingyun sect, there isn't much else. Having this visiting noble servant token certainly makes visits to Qingyun's sect much more convenient in the future. Lu Chongsheng toyed with the Qingyun sect identity token in his hand and chuckled softly. Even though he had connections with Xiao Xia and Zhao Qingqing, every time he visited Qingyun sect, he still had to send a message and wait for the two women to meet him. Alternatively, he would rely on his status as by Lake Mountain Lord and wait in the reception hall. It was not possible to enter Qingyun sect freely. Now, with this visiting noble servant identity token, travel to places like Kaiyun Peak and Lingyao Peak would be much easier. After dealing with some simple matters, Lu Chongsheng returned to Kaiyun Peak with Xiao Xia to assist her in her cultivation. Red Sun Peak. After reprimanding Sima Qiuhua and Song Cheng, Song Qingji realized that Lu Chongsheng might have long established a connection with Yun Wanshang. This realization caused an inexplicable surge of anger in her heart. Yet, at that moment, she became aware of a puzzling issue. How did Lu Chongsheng manage to connect with Yun Wanshang? She knew Yun Wanshang perfectly well. Normally, Yun Wanshang was arrogant, proud, and never spared a glance for any man. Why would she associate with someone like Lu Chongsheng, a mere foundation establishment cultivator? While considering the idea that Yun Wanshang was deliberately provoking her, Song Qingji dismissed it as unlikely. Although she disliked Yun Wanshang and harbored deep resentment and envy toward her, not least because she believed Yun Wanshang had stolen her core formation fortune, she had to admit that Yun Wanshang had never considered her worthy of attention. Most of the time, her bitterness was one-sided. Precisely because of this, her feelings toward Yun Wanshang were mixed with jealousy and even self-doubt. There's something suspicious, definitely something odd. Song Qingzi's beautiful eyes narrowed as she pondered silently, convinced that there was an undisclosed secret between the two. Otherwise, Yun Wanshang would never associate with someone like Lu Chongsheng, given today's situation. Could it be that Yun Wanshang has taken a liking to Lu Chongsheng? A thought crossed Song Qingzi's mind. However, she quickly shook her head to dismiss it. Indeed, Lu Chongsheng possessed extraordinary charm and bearing that even stirred her long-lost feelings. But Yun Wanshang, of all people, would never fall for mere external appearance or surface reasons to be attracted to a man. If he had extraordinary talent and was a peerless prodigy with innate gifts and strength superior to Yun Wanshang's, then perhaps it could be possible. But a mere foundation establishment cultivator? Absolutely impossible. In any case, there is definitely a secret between the two of them. Song Qingji, her ravishing face displaying resolve, had a determined look in her eyes. This wasn't only her understanding of Yun Wanshang but also the intuition unique to a woman. At this moment, Song Qingji found herself brimming with intense curiosity. She wanted to unearth the exact nature of their relationship, to uncover whether Yun Wanshang was harboring a hidden secret. Just then, a sonorous and powerful voice sounded from outside. Qingji, junior sister Kaiyun spoke with me earlier. She said that Lu Chongsheng of Bai Lake Mountain has an old connection with Xiao Xia, having saved her life in the past. So regarding the matter with Bai Lake Mountain and Profound Martial Ridge, we should leave it to her to handle. Qiyang True Immortal stepped into the grand hall and addressed Song Qingji. Saved Xiao Xia's life? Song Qingji froze momentarily at the words. She had speculated along these lines earlier, but something about it still felt overly simplistic. Qingji, since junior sister Kaiyun has spoken up, let's leave this matter as it stands. Qiyang True Immortal, worried that his Dao companion might not have taken his words seriously, added, besides, junior sister Kaiyun is quite measured in her actions, she wouldn't show excessive favoritism. Alright, I understand. Despite her acquiescence, Song Qingji felt an inexplicable irritation surging within. Although he was a core formation true immortal and a top-tier artifact refiner with high status in Qingyun sect, Qiyang True Immortal was habitually immersed in artifact refining and paid little attention to sect affairs. Even when Yun Wanshang intervened, Qiyang True Immortal's station and reputation would have allowed him to ignore her presence. Yet, he had never contested her actions. Take, for instance, the past conflict regarding the coagulation crystal elixir. If Qiyang True Immortal had chosen to abandon everything and fight fiercely for her sake, Song Qingji might have stood a chance against Yun Wanshang. Well, Qingji, if you feel that this matter has let Qiuhua down, you could compensate her later. Qiyang True Immortal, understanding that his Dao companion highly valued reputation, suggested compensating their disciple Sima Qiuhua for the uncompleted task. I know, I won't dwell on this matter. Song Qingji knew precisely what her Dao companion's words implied. He was worried she'd start scheming against Yun Wanshang or digging up dirt on by Lake Mountain. By the way, sect leader's senior brother just deliberated with us and decided the time for opening Tianyuan's secret realm. You could send Cheng'er and Qiuhua to explore it. If you need nomination slots, just provide me with a list later. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1271, Real Person Qiyang, with a dignified and resolute demeanor, spoke in a calm tone and continued. CTH Novelier. N.E.T. website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Has the opening time of the Tianyuan secret realm been confirmed? Hearing these words, Song Qingji showed some surprise and bewilderment, and proceeded to ask, will there be any danger? News from the Heavenly Sword sect states that Xianxian True Monarch will personally oversee it, so there will be no danger. Real Person Qiyang chuckled as he replied. Xianxian True Monarch. When Song Qingji heard this name, her heart skipped a beat. She had not expected even such a true monarch to get involved. It seemed that the matter of the Tianyuan secret realm might lead to significant movements in Jianghu country soon. My dear wife, during these days, I also need to make some preparations and forge a few small trinkets. After chatting for a while, Real Person Qiyang got up and left. Go on, go on. Seeing her Dao companion acting in this manner, Song Qingji spoke in a slightly exasperated tone. She then began to ponder over the relationship between Yun Wanshang and Lu Changsheng. Yun Wanshang had just returned to Kaiyun Peak from the Qingyun Grand Hall when her Tongyu Phoenix marrow body emitted a faint and fleeting sense of unease. This unease instantly turned her expression cold, as she guessed what Lu Changsheng and Xiao Xie might be up to. Humph, that little scoundrel, is this how he helps Xie resolve her cultivation technique issues? Yun Wanshang was somewhat irritated, inwardly muttering to herself, could it be that Lu Changsheng can't live without women? Coming to the Qingyun sect just to engage in such matters with Xiao Xie. Even her closed-door cultivation was disturbed because of this. If not for considering her disciple's reputation, she would have called Lu Changsheng over to scold him right now. Soon after Yun Wanshang returned to her palace, a figure appeared outside the Great Hall and reported, Peak Master, I have already brought Sima Tong to the enforcement hall. But, the reparations demanded by Bihu Mountain are somewhat excessive, and since Sima Tong is already half-crippled, if we force the Sima family to comply, they may harbor resentment, and other family forces might also have their grievances, Jinxiu respectfully reported to Yun Wanshang from outside the palace. What are Bihu Mountain's demands? And what's Sima Tong's condition? After a brief moment, Yun Wanshang's voice resounded in Jinxia's mind. Bihu Mountain stated that Lu Changsheng demands 50,000 spirit stones, a spirit land, the ability to choose 30 shops under the profound Marshall Ridge Marketplace at Bihu Mountain's discretion, the opening of all trade routes, and a pledge not to seek revenge for 100 years. As for Sima Tong, his life-bound magic treasure has self-destructed, his meridians and dantian are damaged, his inner core is dimmed and has a faint crack, he is likely beyond recovery, Jinxiu voiced her report. When Yun Wanshang heard these demands, she immediately understood why Red Sun Peak and the Sima family could not come to terms with Lu Changsheng. Such demands, the Sima family could completely nurture one, or even two, false core cultivators with those resources. How could they possibly pay such a price to apologize and compensate Bihu Mountain for a half-crippled false core cultivator? Reduce it to 20,000 spirit stones, one spirit land, and the choice of 10 marketplace shops under their name. Modify the terms and have the Sima family come to retrieve their man. Yun Wanshang spoke decisively. Although she could have approved, or even imposed harsher conditions, forcing the Sima family to relent, as the enforcement hall master, she couldn't entirely favor Lu Changsheng. Otherwise, what would the Sima family, other family factions, or the disciples of the Qingyun sect think? Moreover, the Sima family's incident also involved real person Qiyang. If she went too far, it would amount to showing no regard for real person Qiyang, slapping him in the face. These days, the conflict between the Bihu Mountain Lu family and the profound Marshall Ridge Sima family continued to escalate. It began spreading across the entire Qingyun region, and even throughout Jianghu country's cultivation realm. Initially, many who heard the news dismissed it as mere rumors, doubting its authenticity. However, as the matter continued to unfold, it reached an increasing number of ears, gradually being believed. This brought great renown to Bihu Mountain. At this moment, within the beast-taming Su family, the Bihu Mountain Lu family, Lu Pingan, approaching third-order body refining, and Lu Changsheng advancing to a third-rank talisman master, a senior member of the Su family, upon hearing this news, furrowed his brows slightly, deep in thought. 10 years ago, the third ancestor of their Su family, Su Gu, had gone to Bihu Mountain, intending to ambush Lu Changsheng, the master of Bihu Mountain, but ultimately perished with no trace of the assailants. Later, their Su family dispatched people to investigate the circumstances surrounding Bihu Mountain. But no matter how much they searched, no information or traces of the battle could be found. Since Bihu Mountain was close to the Qingyun sect, they worried the matter might involve the Qingyun sect. As a result, they let it drop and did not pursue further investigation. Now, with Lu Pingan showing the strength nearing a false core, and Lu Changsheng becoming a third-rank talisman master, suspicions began to arise in his heart. After all, within the cultivation world, didn't everyone have some hidden trump cards and strategies? This Bihu Mountain Lu family, which had only been established for a few decades, not yet 100 years, and had risen to such prominence, clearly had access to extraordinary opportunities and profound secrets. Especially Lu Pingan, who, at his age, already possessed such combat power. His fortuitous encounters and secrets were undoubtedly far from ordinary. Perhaps he possessed some kind of one-time use exotic treasure capable of ambushing and killing false core cultivators. And now that Lu Changsheng had advanced to a third-rank talisman master, who could say whether this had just happened recently or had occurred much earlier? If Lu Changsheng had advanced some time ago and possessed multiple third-rank talismans, there was no saying he couldn't have played a part in Su Ge's demise. After all, in the world of cultivators, duels were ever-changing and unpredictable. Even though Su Gu, as a false core cultivator, had extraordinary combat prowess, any slight negligence, facing multiple third-rank talismans unexpectedly, could still have resulted in his downfall. After ruminating for a while, he decided to report his suspicions to the family head of the Su family, requesting continued monitoring of Bihu Mountain and further investigation. At the Lingxi Xie family. Previously, Lu Xingchen, following Lu Miao's arrangements, went to the Lingxi Lake Xie family to deliver an invitation. When he arrived at the Lingxi Xie family, he learned that the fifth elder of the Xie family had taken the initiative to visit his family. My eldest brother subdued the Sima family's false core patriarch? Hearing this from the Xie family, Lu Xingchen was completely dumbfounded. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1272, he knew his eldest brother was formidable, possessing unmatched combat strength. But he never expected his eldest brother to be so powerful as to suppress even a false core patriarch. And just like that, their family was elevated to a false core family? He had thought that, at the very least, it would take their family another 30 to 50 years to have any hope of being promoted to a false core family or even a nascent soul noble family. Young Master Lu, you've traveled a long way, so you may not have heard of this matter. Otherwise, just stopping by any marketplace to inquire would reveal the news. The head of the Xia family greeted Lu Xingchen with great politeness. After all, Lu Xingchen's visit to them represented the goodwill of by Lake Mountain, signaling a desire to foster a friendly relationship with the Xia family. Under such circumstances, the family head naturally chose to personally host him. I indeed have been constantly traveling and haven't had much opportunity to learn about the latest. Lu Xingchen replied with a polite smile. His appearance bore a close resemblance to his father, Lu Changsheng. Added to that, his cultivation of the Cauldron Medical King scripture lent him a similar refined and gentle demeanor, exuding a scholarly elegance. Young Master Lu, might I ask if you are betrothed? Our Xia family, the Xia family head spoke with a gentle smile. After all, the most common way for families to solidify alliances was through marriage. The Xia family elder's recent trip to Bai Lake Mountain held such intentions, even considering marrying off a daughter to Lu Changsheng. However, since the Lu ancestor rarely appeared in public, leaving most affairs to lady of the Lu family, it became awkward for these family factions to propose marriage in person. After all, who would directly ask another man's wife whether her husband and their family wanted to establish a marital alliance? Additionally, the Lu ancestors' status and position had risen significantly. Sending an ordinary Qi refinement woman over would only result in her becoming a maid, possibly not even qualified to be a concubine. And sending foundation establishment women to marry was an unlikely prospect. Thus, more and more families began shifting their attention to the younger generation of the Lu family. Though the Xia family head had not previously heard of Lu Xingchen, seeing that he was a foundation establishment cultivator caused the notion of marriage to surface in his mind. Thank you for your kind offer, family head Xia, but I currently have no plans for marriage. Lu Xingchen replied sincerely. While he didn't object to marrying and starting a family, or even a marriage for political alliance, such matters were not something he would decide on his own. Very well, young Master Lu, since you've come such a long way, feel free to explore and enjoy yourself here. Let my Xia family show proper hospitality as hosts. The Xia family head maintained an amicable demeanor and continued to speak, intending to arrange for several family daughters to meet Lu Xingchen later. If both sides were pleased with one another, that would be the ideal outcome. Kaiyun Peak. Sar the novel, F. Iyer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Mingyue Residence. Over recent days, Lu Changsheng had been deeply entangled with Xiao Xia, assisting her in her cultivation. After all, Xiao Xia's cultivation level was already at the foundation establishment's 7th layer. She would soon break through to the 8th layer. Under such circumstances, Lu Changsheng naturally needed to resolve Xiao Xia's situation as soon as possible. Otherwise, if Xiao Xia reached the point of attempting a core formation breakthrough while the effects of the supreme forgetful love technique remained unresolved, it would be quite troublesome. Buzz, on the bed, Lu Changsheng and Xiao Xia were in harmony, yin and yang blending as an ethereal furnace floated above their heads, with the rotation of the sun and moon reflected within. In the palace atop the peak, Yun Wanshang, sitting cross-legged, opened her eyes and couldn't help but want to say, are they ever going to stop? Over the past few days, Lu Changsheng and Xiao Xia's continuous practice of the sun-moon samsara technique had caused her Tongyu phoenix marrow body to resonate uncontrollably, stirring faint ripples in her body. This resonance had utterly distracted Yun Wanshang, leaving her unable to focus on her own cultivation. This won't do. I need to figure out if there are any formations that can block out this sensation. Yun Wanshang contemplated, considering how Lu Changsheng, now registered as a guest elder in Kaiyun Peak, was bound to be around more often in the future. She needed to find someone to arrange multiple formation layers to isolate this resonance as soon as possible. Otherwise, how could she possibly cultivate in peace? She really didn't want to feel this strange, inexplicable sense of involvement, huh? That day, Yun Wanshang blinked her beautiful eyes as if awakening from a dream, thinking to herself that there didn't seem to be any ripples today. Had they finally stopped, or had she just gotten used to it? Replaying the memories in her mind, she couldn't quite recall the last time the ripples had occurred. Immediately, Yun Wanshang sent a sound transmission to her steward, Jinxiu, to head to Mingyue residence and summon Lu Chongsheng and Xiao Siya. At Mingyue residence, when Xiao Siya heard from her maid, Green Willow, that the steward of the peak had come to summon her and Lu Chongsheng, her fair and jade-like face flushed with a rosy blush. She knew that her recent activities had certainly not escaped her master's notice. Or rather, her master was likely calling her now to remind her to take Lu Chongsheng to complete his guest elder registration before addressing other matters. Yet, after completing the guest elder registration, the two of them had become so entwined that they'd completely lost track of time. It's all my fault. Any time I'm with you, Siya, I lose all sense of time. Lu Chongsheng, however, remained remarkably calm, holding Xiao Siya's graceful, mature, and seemingly moonlit flawless body with tenderness in his voice. Since discovering that Kaiyun True Immortal was the core formation woman he had once shared a fleeting connection with in his younger years, and with their multiple in-depth conversations since then, Lu Chongsheng no longer held any reverence for her. He only harbored the intention of making her the mother of his children. After briefly indulging in each other's company, the duo adjusted their attire and ascended to the grand palace at the peak, appearing like a celestial couple as they bowed respectfully in greeting. Truly, Yun Wanshang gazed at the pair outside, her heart filled with a mix of inexplicable and complex emotions. Boom! The palace doors swung open. Yun Wanshang stepped out in a resplendent multicolored gown, its flowing hem cascading like clouds, accentuating her noble and majestic aura. Siya, I established a 50-year pact with you, and half of that time has already passed. If in the remaining time you fail to break through to core formation, do not blame me for being merciless. Yun Wanshang looked down at Xiao Siya, her voice cold and commanding. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1273. After speaking, she looked at Lu Chongsheng, her eyes as tranquil as water, her aura imposing. Her voice was like ancient, unyielding ice as she stated, Lu Chongsheng, the same applies to you. Even if I consider past relations, I will show no mercy. Please rest assured, true immortal. Lu Changsheng's handsome face bore a faint smile at the corner of his lips, his demeanor one of confidence and certainty as he replied calmly. Then, he lightly squeezed Xiao Siya's jade-like hand, signaling her not to worry. This scene left Yun Wanshang slightly puzzled, curious as to the source of Lu Changsheng's undeniable confidence. However, she couldn't deny that Lu Chongsheng, full of confidence and brimming with vigor in this moment, was truly captivating, completely distinct from his usual shameless demeanor. Master, this disciple understands. Though Xiao Siya inwardly lacked full confidence, under Lu Changsheng's encouragement, she still cupped her hands respectfully and responded. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly and shifted her gaze to Lu Chongsheng again, speaking, regarding the matter with the Sima family of Profound Martial Ridge, I have already sent someone to handle it. Afterward, the Sima family will provide compensation, which I will have delivered to by Lake Mountain. Thus, this matter ends here. With my writ in hand, the Sima family will not dare think of retaliation against you in the future. Yun Wanshang spoke with certainty. Though it was only a writ. The fact that she personally intervened and resolved the issue was tantamount to announcing to the outside world that By Lake Mountain was backed by the Qingyun sect and Kaiyun Peak's lineage. Under such circumstances, unless By Lake Mountain initiated trouble themselves, the beast-taming Su family would certainly think twice before making a move against By Lake Mountain. Many thanks, true immortal. Lu Chongsheng cupped his hands and responded. He knew that, with this layer of deterrence provided by Yun Wanshang, his foundation would be secure, and he could develop steadily for quite some time ahead. Your family has come this far. In the days to come, maintain a lower profile. Excessive flamboyance is not a blessing. Yun Wanshang's voice softened slightly, cold yet melodious, carrying a regal authority befitting her lofty position. Oh. Lu Chongsheng paused for a moment, picking up on a deeper implication in Yun Wanshang's words. He immediately cupped his hands and inquired, "I beseech true Immortal for guidance." When any immortal sect develops to a certain stage, they issue a pioneer order to initiate an expansion war. It has been several centuries since Qingyun's sect last issued a pioneer order. In recent years, incidents have erupted repeatedly between Yu country and Liang country. Should these conflicts escalate into full-blown war, Jiang country may also be implicated and dragged into the fray. Moreover, Jiang country itself has not been peaceful in these years. You must have noticed as much. Yun Wanshang shot a glance at Lu Chongsheng and spoke in an even tone. Hearing these words, Lu Changsheng's heart sank. He faintly perceived the underlying meaning in Yun Wanshang's words. There was a likelihood that Jiang country would, in the near future, face either an immortal sect expansion or a full-scale cultivation world war. Both expansion wars and cultivation world wars signified bloodshed and peril. Once such a war erupted, every cultivator in Jiang country, whether loose cultivator or family affiliated, would be unconditionally bound to follow the commands of the immortal sects. In years past, when mobilizing forces to exterminate the Xiahou family and demonic path cultivators, numerous families had fallen into decline as a result. Sar the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The dangers of a war in the cultivation world could only be imagined. Countless families would either rise or be annihilated in such processes. And at that time, the larger and stronger a family's forces, the greater their expected contribution. Many thanks for the guidance, true Immortal. Lu Chongsheng understands. Lu Changsheng's eyes sharpened as he nodded in response. A war of this scale would involve disciples of the immortal sects being conscripted to the battlefield. Thus, even with Yun Wanshang's support, there was no avoiding it. Yun Wanshang's reminder was clearly meant to warn him that the signs were already emerging, and he should refrain from revealing too much of his power prematurely. Yun Wanshang nodded slightly and continued, "Soon, the four great immortal sects will open the Tianyuan secret realm. At that time, Bai Lake Mountain will be granted a spot. Prepare yourself well and enter the Tianyuan secret realm to comprehend the celestial monument. It will be beneficial to you. As for the specifics of the Tianyuan secret realm, you may inquire with Xia." Yun Wanshang, possessor of supreme elegance, wore no adornments, yet her beauty was stunning and regal. The Tianyuan secret realm? Comprehend the celestial monument? Lu Chongsheng blinked in surprise, not expecting this sudden turn of events about the Tianyuan secret realm. He was, of course, familiar with the Tianyuan secret realm. Years ago, Xiao Siye had accompanied Kaiyun True Immortal and senior sister Chu Qingyi in pioneering the Tianyuan secret realm. Now, with rumors abounding that the secret realm was attracting numerous foreign core formation cultivators coveting its opportunities, Yun Wanshang was suggesting that the four great immortal sects would open it up, allowing him to comprehend the celestial monument. Before he could ask further questions, Kaiyun True Immortal waved her hand, dismissing them and closing the hall doors. "Xia, what is the situation with this Tianyuan secret realm?" Seeing this, Lu Chongsheng turned to Xiao Siye for clarification. Previously, due to sect rules and her Dao Heart Oath, Xiao Siye had been unable to divulge much, so Lu Chongsheng hadn't pressed her then. The Tianyuan secret realm should now have been thoroughly cleared. The celestial monument is one of the opportunities within. As for its origins, I am not entirely sure. All I know is that everyone can use the monument to comprehend cultivation insights, gaining Dao enlightenment, cultivation experiences, or even cultivation technique inheritances, Xiao Siye explained, indicating that both she and her master had secured substantial gains from the monument in the past. However, each person could only comprehend the celestial monument once, with no second opportunities. Now the outside world is abuzz with news of the Tianyuan secret realm. Even many foreign core formation immortals are being drawn to claim its opportunities. Lu Chongqing frowned and muttered, opening the Tianyuan secret realm at this moment, is there a trap involved? He had experienced the Jiuxiao Immortal City incident early in his cultivation journey. He knew the Heavenly Sword sect was not to be trusted. Back then, when Xianjian True Monarch was challenged by the Jin Kingdom's demonic path True Monarch, the Heavenly Sword sect had knowingly allowed the demonic path cultivators, who harbored ill intent, to infiltrate Jiang country and plot within Jiuxiao Immortal City. They had then ambushed and captured a core formation cultivator, killing 2 others and wiping out 7 or 8 false core practitioners. If not for one core formation cultivator self-destructing their true elixir in a desperate bid, the demonic path forces would have suffered even greater losses. Now, with the Tianyuan secret realm reopening, it reminded him of the Jiuxiao Immortal City incident, making him suspect that the 4 great immortal sects were using this as an opportunity to lure in demonic path cultivators for an ambush and to assert dominance. Otherwise, the timing seemed far too coincidental. Not foolish at all. Within the palace, Yun Wanshang's lips curved into a faint smile upon hearing Lu Changsheng's remark. Her decision to have Lu Chongqing enter the Tianyuan secret realm was partly due to the benefits of the celestial monument for him. If he could gain enlightenment or a cultivation technique inheritance from it, his chances of forming a core would improve in the future. On the other hand, she found herself increasingly unable to discern Lu Changsheng's depths. Thus, she saw the Tianyuan secret realm as an opportunity to test him. This, Xiaoxia, hearing Lu Changsheng's words, felt he was likely correct. Even though she knew Lu Chongqing had already broken through to core formation and become a nascent soul immortal, she remained somewhat concerned. After all, Lu Chongqing had only reached core formation 3 years ago. With no completed divine skills or magical treasures in hand, he might encounter danger. It's fine. Lu Chongqing, seeing Xiaoxia's worried expression, held her hand and spoke gently. Under normal circumstances, he would avoid meddling in such a secret realm. But with Yun Wanshang's explicit instruction, refusing out of fear might disappoint her. Since that was the case, he would make the trip. Moreover, if the 4 great immortal sects dared to proceed, they were surely confident and wouldn't send people to their deaths recklessly. Of course, the primary reason was that he now had enough strength to feel assured. As long as no nascent soul true monarch appeared, he was confident he could escape even from a late-stage core formation great cultivator. Senior sister will be stationed in the Tianyuan secret realm. If danger arises, Chongqing, you may seek her protection. Xiaoxia nodded slightly, offering a reassuring suggestion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1274, Profound Martial Ridge, Sima Family. 13th sister is back. The Sima family head, upon hearing the report, immediately rushed to the hall with an expression of surprise and joy. These past days, with the family patriarch's matters involving Blue Lake Mountain weighing on his mind, his role as the family head had been a daily torment. Constantly, he was waiting for Sima Qiuhua to send back good news. At the moment he heard of Sima Kua's return, his first thought was that the family's issues had been resolved. When he arrived at the hall and saw not only Sima Qiuhua but also 2 individuals in Qingyun sect enforcement hall robes, a man and a woman, his expression slightly stiffened as he sensed something amiss. 13th sister. The Sima family head addressed Sima Qiuhua, whose face showed a hint of fatigue, and then slightly cupped his hands toward the 2 Qingyun sect disciples. Sima family head, correct? This is our hall master's edict, regarding the resolution of the grievances between the Profound Martial Ridge Sima family and the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. The 2 enforcement hall disciples exchanged glances and spoke up, handing the edict to the Sima family head. Thank you, Daoists. Though the Sima family head felt something was off, he maintained his courtesy. He took out 10 middle-grade spirit stones from his storage bag and handed them to the 2 disciples. The disciples accepted the stones without reservation. After all, traveling this distance was arduous, and this counted as a little extra reward. After taking the spirit stones, the two disciples stepped out of the hall to wait outside, allowing the Sima family head and Sima Qiuhua a private conversation. The Sima family head trembled violently as he read the content of the edict. His face turned deathly pale, as though struck by lightning. He then looked at Sima Qiuhua in disbelief and said, "13th sister, what is going on? Originally, this matter had been handled by my master, and real person Qiang already approved, but Lu Chongsheng saved the disciple of Kaiyun True Immortal, Xiaoxia, years ago, which alarmed Kaiyun True Immortal and led her to personally intervene." Sima Qiuhua spoke bitterly. Previously, she had received a family message and went to request her master, Song Qingji. She had thought the matter was resolved, with her master and grandmaster's backing. CTH Novelfire, any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. She even imagined she could leverage this achievement for resources from the family afterward. Who could have expected it would provoke Kaiyun True Immortal's involvement, resulting in a harsh reprimand from her master, Song Qingji, and displeasure from her senior brother, Song Cheng. Kaiyun True Immortal intervened personally. When the Sima family head heard this, his pale complexion turned ashen. This act, personally handled by the enforcement hall master, indicated the matter was already finalized and unchangeable. Whatever the punishment might be, the Sima family must accept it. Moreover, if one were to account for the truth, it was indeed the Sima family that instigated it first and was in the wrong. Additionally, following this matter, Lu Chongsheng leveraged his status as a third-rank talisman master to become a visiting noble servant at Kaiyun Peak. So, Sima Qiuhua sighed and continued. Even though the Sima family now faced massive losses and frustration, they could only admit defeat. Should they dare seek trouble with Blue Lake Mountain again, it would equate to insulting Kaiyun True Immortal. The Sima family head sat in a chair nearby as though drained, only recovering after a long while, his voice weak as he said, "13th sister, I understand." This compensation not only caused severe damage to the Sima family's vitality. It also signified irreversible damage to the family's reputation. In the future, whenever people discussed Blue Lake Mountain or Profound Martial Ridge, this matter would inevitably surface, causing massive harm to the Sima family's prestige. Reputation was intangible but had unavoidable indirect consequences. Moreover, as the Sima family head, he became acutely aware of one critical issue. That was the rapid growth of Blue Lake Mountain, achieved in just a few decades. Previously, aside from the Sima family, other forces such as the Dayuan Mountain Yuan family, Golden Dragon Ridge Jin family, Fuyun Mountain Luo family, and Beast Taming Su family secretly suppressed Blue Lake Mountain to hinder its rise. But now, Lu Chongsheng had aligned with Qingyun sect's Kaiyun True Immortal. This meant other families had to weigh their actions before targeting the Lu family and couldn't act openly. Without suppression and limits, at this growth rate, in a few decades, Blue Lake Mountain might rise to become the foremost false core family, potentially advancing to a nascent soul noble family. Who could say if Blue Lake Mountain would then resolve to exact vengeance on the Sima family? The Sima family head felt a deep sense of heaviness pressing on his heart. "I will go with you to meet the family patriarch and elders." Sima Qiuhua gazed at her brother's dispirited state and sighed. Though this outcome was not one the Sima family could refuse. The patriarch and elders still needed to be informed for deliberation. Not to mention, deploying such a massive sum of compensation required much planning and arrangement. "Thank you, 13th sister." The Sima family head cupped his hands in gratitude. If he had to face the patriarch's fury alone, it would be unbearable. With Sima Qiuhua there, matters would be far more manageable. Qingyun sect. Following a session of dual cultivation with Xiaoxia, Lu Chongsheng did not continue cultivating afterward. On one hand, a profound cultivation technique like the Sun-Moon Samsara technique emphasized moderation and avoided rash progress. On the other hand, since awakening the Tai divine soul, his sensitivity and perception had heightened considerably. In the inexplicable, he often felt watched, suspecting it was Kaiyun true immortal. Thus, he believed constantly lingering under the gaze of that true immortal might unintentionally provoke her discontent. After all, given the depth of their interactions over time, Lu Chongqing didn't imagine Kaiyun true immortal could remain completely unbothered by him and Xiaoxia perpetually engaging in dual cultivation. However, Lu Chongqing did not immediately leave Qingyun's sect. Instead, he visited Lingyao Peak to spend time with Zhao Qingqing, aiming to strengthen their relationship and perhaps conceive a second child. In the 100 Herbs garden, upon the bed, Lu Chongqing held his beloved tightly, galloping into passion. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1275, Zhao Qingqing's Vegbody is extremely compatible with the Cauldron Medical King scripture. After cultivating this technique, by consistently using spirit flowers and spirit grass for cultivation, not only did her progress accelerate tremendously, but her physique also developed a refreshing, enchanting fragrance of spiritual medicine. Sarch * The Oval Fire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At this very moment, the room was filled with the exuberance of spring and permeated with an intoxicating aroma. Zhao Qingqing let out a soft and tender hum from her nose. Her two jade-like feet, fair and smooth as bamboo shoots, swayed constantly near the corner of Lu Changsheng's eyes. 10 delicate white toes curled and stretched, stirring an irresistible allure. No one knew how much time had passed. Zhao Qingqing's expression appeared dazed as her jade-like body trembled. Lu Lang, half closing her alluring eyes, she gazed at him with a mesmerizing tenderness and clung weakly to Lu Chongqing. Her ruby-red lips whispered softly, her breath fragrant like orchids. Her rounded, shining calves, supple and smooth, twitched uncontrollably. 10 delicate toes curled tightly, while the tender soles of her feet turned a blush-pink hue. Qingqing. Lu Chongqing watched her exquisite demeanor, gently caressing her warm and soft body, which still trembled reflexively. After laboring in the 100 Herbs garden for half a month, Lu Chongqing checked on his son, Lu Yunlu, and his daughter, Lu Xingyue, before returning to Bai Lake Mountain. Though both had foundation establishment elixirs, matters of foundation establishment required thorough preparation and cultivation. Boom! Just as Lu Chongqing returned to Bai Lake Mountain, he felt an intense surge of pure mana suddenly entering his body. Judging by the power of this mana, he immediately surmised his son, Lu Pingan, had made a breakthrough. Previously, during a battle with Sima Tong, Lu Pingan had faintly sensed an opportunity for a breakthrough. Thus, upon returning home, he immediately went into closed-door cultivation to push toward foundation establishment 4th layer. Name, Lu Pingan, lifespan, 61 of 253, talent, 5th grade spiritual root, cultivation level, foundation establishment 3rd level, capability, body refining compatibility, 61%, was it not Pingan? Lu Chongqing was slightly surprised. Unexpectedly, it wasn't his son, Lu Pingan, who had made the breakthrough. Currently, only a few of his children were at mid-stage foundation establishment. He observed each of them. Name, Lu Chuanjun, lifespan, 58 of 193, talent, 4th grade spiritual root, cultivation level, foundation establishment 5th layer, capability, combat law compatibility, 67%, Chuanjun has broken through to the 5th layer of foundation establishment. Lu Chongqing appeared both astonished and surprised. He recalled that his son, Lu Chuanjun, had only advanced to the 4th layer 4 years ago. At his current speed, it would have taken at least another 2 or 3, perhaps even 4 or 5 years to break through. It seems Chuanjun must have encountered some fortuitous event. Lu Chongqing thought silently to himself. For someone like Lu Chuanjun, who spent extended periods abroad, his cultivation advancements were largely reliant on fortuitous encounters rather than methodical effort. From his son's lifespan and capabilities, it was evident that he must have gone through numerous battles and even resorted to life-burning techniques. Children and grandchildren have their own fortunes. Lu Chongqing chose not to worry too much about his son Lu Quanzhen's situation and returned to Bai Lake Mountain. Mountain Master. Greetings, Lu Ancestor. Even after all this time, cultivators continued to visit Bai Lake Mountain to pay their respects. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing, they displayed utmost reverence, bowing with admiration. Many women revealed expressions of infatuation. Lu Chongqing smiled lightly and nodded, transforming into a streak of escape light as he returned to Baiyun Peak. Lu Miaoyun and Ling Zixiao approached Lu Chongqing and brought up the matter of Sima Tong. Lu Chongqing briefly explained how the situation was resolved to the two ladies. He also mentioned that he had taken up the role of a visiting noble servant within Qingyun sect. Regarding family business, trade caravans, and related matters, he indicated that the arrival of Qingyun sect's enforcement hall would finalize and handle these issues, allowing them to proceed. Furthermore, the news of him becoming a visiting noble servant of Qingyun sect could be gradually revealed outward. Kaiyun True Immortal, Ling Zixiao mused upon hearing this, gazing at Lu Chongqing meaningfully. She had previously speculated which patron Lu Chongqing might seek in Qingyun sect. After seeing the enforcement hall arrive and learning that its hall master was Xiao Si's master, Kaiyun True Immortal, her suspicions were further confirmed. Now hearing this, she wasn't sure what to say. Cough, cough, your husband encountered Kaiyun True Immortal in the past when she was gravely injured and saved her life. She's simply repaying the favor. However, publicly, you may hint that I saved Sia's life. Lu Chongqing offered a brief explanation. Ling Zixiao, however, upon hearing that Lu Chongqing had saved Kaiyun True Immortal, appeared even more intrigued. After all, she was well aware of her husband's ability to save people. She chose not to believe that Kaiyun True Immortal and her husband had been completely free of entanglements under such circumstances. Still, Ling Zixiao refrained from making further remarks. She understood that whatever relationship the two might have, it was not yet appropriate for public dissemination. She proceeded to discuss family matters with Lu Chongqing. During recent times, many families visited bearing goodwill and seeking collaboration. Not only Foundation establishment families, but also false core families, such as Lingxi Xie family, the Feng family of Divine Eagle Valley, and the Luo family of Floating Cloud Cave. Even the patriarch of Daiyuan Mountain Yuan family, who had previously acted against them in secret, personally came to make amends. Since this elder of the Yuan family is willing to come forward and apologize proactively, the grievances between our families can be set aside. Lu Chongqing deliberated and commented. With the matter of the Sima family, Bai Lake Mountain's reputation was already established. There was no need to continue entangling with the Yuan family and creating unnecessary discord. The Yuan family patriarch himself had come to offer apologies. If they continued to press the matter, they might instead appear domineering beyond measure. Moreover, Yun Wanshang had previously reminded him that wars might occur in the cultivation world in the future. Thus, there was no need to recklessly challenge others now, steady development would suffice. I share the same opinion. Ling Zixiao replied gracefully with a faint smile, presenting a booklet that listed numerous families seeking marriage alliances with their own. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1276. Aside from a few women proactively offering themselves as concubines to Lu Chongqing, most sought marriage alliances with Lu Pingan, Lu Qingxian, and other Lu family disciples. If there are loose cultivators with decent character and background who would be beneficial to our family, we can consider them. As for Pingan and Qingxian, let them decide for themselves. Lu Chongqing looked at the booklet before him and spoke. Although he didn't mind taking in dozens more concubines, most of the women sent by family forces were of qi refinement cultivation level, with spiritual roots no better than 4th or 5th grade. For such candidates, Lu Ancestor truly found them unworthy, preferring instead to bring in loose cultivators, or perhaps he might take a stroll to the White Jade Tower when he had time. While loose cultivators generally lacked remarkable spiritual root talent, those who could achieve success in the cultivation world rarely had poor spiritual roots. If someone had notable spiritual root talent, foundation establishment cultivation, a clean background, and decent character, Lu Ancestor wouldn't mind compromising his dignity to win them over. After reviewing the family matters, Lu Chongsheng headed to Balian Peak to inspect the situation. He checked the local earth-fire vein to estimate how much longer it would take to mature, preparing to refine the White Peak Immortal's life-bound magic treasure anew. Thus, he would have more techniques at his disposal when venturing into the Tianyuan's secret realm. However, the earth-fire vein at Balian Peak still required at least another year or half before it could ascend, and until then, the earth-fire array wouldn't yield the desired earth-fiend flame. Sigh. Forget it. Let's focus on having children. Lu Chongsheng sighed and gave up on the idea of crafting magical treasures, instead resolving to produce offspring at home. Admittedly, it was significantly harder to conceive children after reaching core formation. Despite his diligent efforts over the past few days at home, only one concubine had managed to conceive. Even after half a month of groundwork at Qingyun Sect's Lingyao Peak, it was unclear whether Zhao Qingxing had conceived. Still, faced with such results, Lu Chongsheng refused to be discouraged, firmly believing that heaven rewards persistence. As long as he exerted himself, there would inevitably be outcomes. After staying at the Wuxia Xianxia family for 3 days, Lu Xingchen bid farewell and departed. The journey from Wuxia Lake to Bai Lake Mountain was long, even traveling day and night would take over half a month. However, given the rare chance to venture far, Lu Xingchen wasn't eager to rush back and instead leisurely explored along the way, broadening his horizons. One night, as the curtain of dusk descended, Lu Xingchen instructed the Iron Feather Eagle to land on a mountain peak to rest. He skillfully scattered powder around the area to prevent the approach of group-dwelling demon beasts. Not long after he sat down, he suddenly heard the sounds of combat ahead in the forest, demon beasts roaring, explosions rumbling, and dazzling flashes of spells colliding. Upon hearing the commotion, Lu Xingchen's initial reaction was to distance himself from it. However, considering that using mana then might attract the attention of demon beasts, he quickly formed an incantation gesture with his hands, blending his energy into the nearby tree. His entire being seemed to merge seamlessly with the tree. The Cauldron Medical King scripture, although not adept at fighting techniques, offered many life-saving methods. This particular technique allowed his body and energy to harmonize with the tree, making it nearly impossible for ordinary foundation establishment cultivators or demon beasts to detect him. Moments later, Lu Xingchen spotted a young man in white clothing besieged by over a dozen wolves with bluish-green fur. Green-winged wolves, low-level bloodline demon beasts. Is this group led by a mutant wolf king? Lu Xingchen recognized the pack as one of the lowest-level social demon beasts, most ranging from initial to middle stage of First Order. The lead green-winged wolf had fur with faint purple traces, suggesting it had gained some chance encounter to mutate and progress to a second-order great demon. What truly astonished Lu Xingchen, however, was that the white-clothed young man, despite only being at the 7th level of qi refinement, had managed to evade the pack's attacks for so long. On closer observation, the young man demonstrated not only proficient spellcasting but also nimble movements. Several times he narrowly avoided deadly attacks from the Green-Winged Wolf King, escaping calamity by what seemed like sheer luck. Lu Xingchen speculated that, had the youth been facing the Wolf King alone, he might have escaped. Unfortunately, he was trapped by the pack. Whoa! One of the green-winged wolves seized an opening while the youth dodged the Wolf King's wind blade, pouncing on him and sinking its sharp teeth into his shoulder, drawing blood. Already weak, his aura frail and riddled with wounds, the young man cried out in pain before unleashing a technique, blasting the wolf away. But at that moment, the other green-winged wolves swarmed him, leaving the youth struggling helplessly, his eyes filled with despair and grief. Sigh. Lu Xingchen let out a soft sigh as he witnessed this scene. Though his family taught him to avoid meddling in trouble while traveling, urging caution and to assess his abilities before taking action, never acting impulsively, he found it hard to ignore something so dire now that it was right in front of him. Greenwood entanglement. Lu Xingchen formed incantation gestures with his hands, and suddenly green gold vines sprouted from the ground, ensnaring the green-winged wolves. Sar the novel _fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. One vine wrapped around the white-clothed youth, pulling him toward Lu Xingchen. Roar. The green-winged wolf king noticed immediately, let out a furious roar, and unleashed wind blades swirling around its body, heading straight for Lu Xingchen. Bang! Lu Xingchen hurriedly summoned a shield, its flowing radiance blocking the incoming barrage. Gripping the nearly unconscious, gravely weakened youth in his arms, Lu Xingchen dared not linger, fleeing hastily. Without using talismans, he was truly no match for the green-winged wolves, especially now when he had a liability to take care of. After running for an extended period, Lu Xingchen noticed the green-winged wolf king relentlessly pursuing them, likely tracking the scent. No, this won't do. If I keep going, I may draw other demon beasts too. Reluctantly, Lu Xingchen retrieved a second-order middle-grade fire talisman from his pocket and launched it at the green-winged wolf king. Faced with the attack, the wolf king's fur was singed severely, fear and apprehension flickering in its eyes as it abandoned the chase. Phew! Seeing this, Lu Xingchen sighed in relief and carried the white-clothed youth to a safer spot to tend to his injuries. Though he was no expert at combat, he was well suited to healing. Thank you, the white-clothed youth, breath faint and erratic, weakly murmured his gratitude to Lu Xingchen. But as soon as he finished, his tense mental spirit finally relaxed, causing him to faint entirely. Sigh, what a mess this is. Lu Xingchen looked at the unconscious young man in his arms and sighed helplessly. That day, Lu Chongsheng was at Baishui Lake enjoying himself with Bai Ling, Chu Zhenjin, and several other ladies. Suddenly, he felt a rush of pure mana. With a brief glance, he immediately understood that his son Lu Pingon had achieved a breakthrough. This surge of cultivation energy wasn't particularly significant, but it was enough to push him to his current limit. Following the conclusion of the lake outing, Lu Chongsheng went to Mount Sumerus Cave Heaven and entered Chongsheng Hall to meditate. He circulated his cultivation technique to prepare for his breakthrough. For Lu Chongsheng, such progression was naturally smooth and effortless. Boom! Several days later, his Qi ocean core bubbled turbulently as yin-yang mana surged, the golden core radiated dazzling colors, and his physique reverberated with the pulsating energy of yin-yang Qi. 3 years after reaching core formation, Lu Chongsheng finally advanced from the initial stage to the second level. This pace was largely thanks to the yin-yang integration spirit pill. Otherwise, apart from dual cultivation, he hadn't practiced seriously at all during these 3 years, and the support from his children due to the disparity in cultivation levels was minimal. Breaking through before entering the Tianyuan secret realm, this is not bad. Lu Chongsheng smiled pleased as he exited Chongsheng Hall. As usual, he checked on the status of Cave Heaven Spirit Vein, estimating it would need another year or so to advance to third-order Spirit Vein. Yet what excited him more than the Spirit Vein's progress was the impending emergence of the Honglian. Emerging from Mount Sumerus Cave Heaven, he stood atop Blue Cloud Peak, overlooking the bustling activity at Biyun Villa. The grand banquet held previously to celebrate Lu Wangsha's foundation establishment ceremony was about to commence, and the family forces in attendance had gathered from afar. For those traveling long distances, by Lake Mountain naturally arranged accommodations. At the Lu family mansion, Lu Miaoyan informed Lu Chongsheng that Lu Qinsha had sought him out a few days prior. He had reported the successful formation of the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon, with the first second-order Blackwater Jialong spirit weapon having ascended. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1277, Oh, the Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers have advanced. Lu Changsheng's brow lifted slightly upon hearing this, a trace of joy appearing on his face. Years ago, he invested considerable time and effort into cultivating this batch of Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers. However, their growth was painfully slow. Despite his heavy investment of resources, along with the assistance of ancient beast-taming charms, their speed remained frustratingly sluggish, eventually prompting him to lose interest. Yet now, one of the Dao soldiers had finally achieved second-rank advancement, making him feel somewhat pleased. Xianxia, come see me. Lu Chongqing enveloped the entire blue cloud peak with his divine sense and summoned his son, Lu Xianxia, who was training iron fire ants, intending to inspect the second-rank Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier. Soon after, Lu Xianxia arrived at the Lu family mansion. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing and the others, he respectfully clasped his hands in greeting. Xianxia greets father and aunt. Lu Chongqing nodded faintly and, accompanied by Lu Xianxia, ascended to the summit of Blue Cloud Peak, saying, "Release the second-rank Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier for me to see." "Yes, father." Lu Xianxia responded reverently, then retrieved the ancient beast-taming charm and activated the beast technique spell. Buzz! The ancient charm radiated brilliant light, and a streak of black aura shot forth, manifesting as a pitch-black Jialong roughly 3 zhang, 9 meters, long and as thick as a barrel, its hide covered with dense, dark scales. The Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier had a pair of short legs beneath its body shimmering with a cold, obsidian gleam, and a solitary small black horn atop its head. Hoarg! As the Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier emerged, a surge of aqueous energy spread across the surroundings, causing the creature to soar on misty clouds. A second-rank Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier, its innate monster techniques awakened, Blackwater Divine Light, Cloud Soaring Technique, and Illusion Mist Technique. Lu Chongqing scrutinized the Dao soldier before him. The Blackwater Jialong spell refined demon beasts into Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers, with notable differences in appearance during the first rank. Upon advancing to second rank, aside from retaining some minor traits, they largely metamorphosize into the form of a Blackwater Jialong. When Dao soldiers reach third rank, unless the demon beast's original bloodline was extraordinary and its innate talents remarkable, few of their original features remain, as they are entirely transformed into the likeness of a Blackwater Jialong. Though it's only second rank and its combat strength is limited, using it as a mount does have a certain prestige. Lu Chongqing chuckled faintly at the sight of the imposing Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier before him. This Dao soldier belonged to the water element. Its full combat effectiveness could only be unleashed within aquatic environments. Brought outside, its abilities were no more than average at best. Nonetheless, its appearance was impressive, ferocious and dignified, with a semblance of the majestic aura of a Jialong. Is there only one second-rank Blackwater Jialong at present? Lu Chongqing turned to Lu Xianxia. In response to father, currently there is only this one Dao soldier that has advanced to second rank. 5 others are progressing, 3 are on the verge of advancing, and at most within a year, they will achieve second rank, Lu Xianxia reported dutifully. Lu Chongqing had reared a total of 81 Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers. Among the earlier members refined from by-blood carp kings and various low to mid-tier bloodline demon beasts, their foundation was relatively weak, so he opted for simpler cultivation, without the intention of accelerating them to second rank. After all, even if these Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers reached second rank, their potential was exhausted, making advancement to third rank almost impossible. However, the 9 Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers subject to more intensive cultivation were also of merely high-tier bloodline grade. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly, stepping onto the head of the Blackwater Jialong. Although the Blackwater Jialong soldier charm had been handed over to Lu Xianxia, these Blackwater Jialong Dao soldiers were all forged by him using the Blackwater Jialong spell, giving them an innate reverence and submissiveness toward him, remaining under his control. "Come here." Lu Chongsheng raised his hand lightly, pulling his son Lu Qinsha onto the head of the Blackwater Jiaolong as well, preparing to test its prowess. Roar! 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 The Blackwater Jiaolong bellowed fiercely, its scales shimmering, surrounded by swirling mist as torrents of aqueous vapor surged around it, propelling it toward Bai Shui Lake. "What's that?" "A Jiaolong. That's a second-rank Jiaolong. When did our family acquire a second-rank Jiaolong?" "Its father alongside Qinsha." Many on Blue Cloud Peak noted the commotion, noticing a fearsome black Jiaolong flying toward Bai Shui Lake with an aura of majesty, upon whose ferocious head stood two figures. Discussions arose in astonishment. Apart from the 9 Netherhound guarding White Tiger Mountain, Bai Lake Mountain actually possesses another second-rank spiritual beast. CTH novel, F. Iyer. ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Could this second-rank Jiaolong possibly be Lu Ancestor's mount? What is Lu Ancestor planning to do? Cultivators visiting Bai Lake Mountain for the ceremony were astounded, shocked, and filled with envy at the spectacle. Although this type of second-rank Dao soldier was entirely insignificant to Lu Chongsheng, kept for amusement to cultivators from other families, it would be akin to a second-order great demon, a clan guardian spirit beast. Particularly, the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier boasted an extremely striking appearance. As it soared high in the sky, were it not examined closely, it could easily be mistaken for a demon beast with Earth-grade bloodline. Roar! 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 As the Blackwater Jiaolong reached the skies over Bai Shui Lake, its excitement visibly increased, becoming enveloped in a heavy mist, causing waves to surge upward from the lake. "Settle down." Lu Chongsheng frowned with displeasure, pressing his foot against the Jiaolong's head. This Bai Shui Lake belonged to his family, stocked with numerous spiritual fish. What if they ended up harmed? The Blackwater Jiaolong whimpered softly, retracting its imposing air. Soon after, a Bai Lake Mountain token appeared in Lu Chengsheng's hand. This token carried partial formation restrictions, allowing activation of the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation. Through the token, Lu Chongsheng activated the second transformation of the Bai Lake Mountain Great Formation, Bihu Stream Layers. From Bai Shui Lake, columns of water erupted skyward, layers of mist spread, cloaking the surroundings in azure currents and foggy haze, isolating this portion of the heavens and earth. Then Lu Chongsheng turned to his son, Lu Qinsha, saying, "Qinsha, release all the Dao soldiers except those currently advancing." Within his Qi Ocean Core, the Yin-Yang Great Path Golden Core orbited around the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus, radiating brilliant resplendence. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1278, Boom, Boom, Boom. With the thunderous roar emanating from his dantian, Lu Chongsheng exuded a profound aura belonging to the Black Dragon Codex. This was the dominion over all techniques from the Yin-Yang creation scripture. As long as he fully comprehended the cultivation technique, he could leverage its magical properties and the Tianyuan Supreme King Lotus to transform Yin-Yang magic power into this potent strength. At the same time, Lu Qinsha released the remaining 75 Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers. S.E.A. the novel, F. Iyer. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Immediately, the surroundings were occupied by massive black flood dragons and dragonfish. These Dao soldiers were all first rank and displayed significant differences in appearance. However, their uniform ebony-black color and orderly formation collectively emanated an awe-inspiring majesty. Dao Soldier Talisman. Lu Chongsheng glanced at his son and continued speaking. Without asking further questions, Lu Qinsha promptly retrieved a palm-sized ink-black soldier token. It was etched with an image of a Blackwater Jiaolong soaring through the heavens. Unlike Lu Chongsheng, who had cultivated the Black Dragon Codex, Lu Qinsha did not possess this cultivation and thus needed the Dao Soldier Talisman to command the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers, as they usually wouldn't obey him. Blackwater Jiaolong Spell, Blackwater Jiaolong Battle Formation. Lu Chongqing took the token, glanced at the soldiers, and gestured with incantations using both hands. Swish, 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 the 75 Dao soldiers immediately began aligning neatly, their inner Blackwater Jiaolong spell activating automatically. Boom, 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 in an instant, the first-rank Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers fused their auras with the second-rank Blackwater Jiaolong beneath Lu Chengsheng's feet, causing the demonic power from all Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers to gather, gradually morphing into a colossal Flood Dragon Phantom. The Flood Dragon Phantom stood 5 or 6 zhang tall, exceptionally tangible, radiating an intimidating mid-second rank aura. Lu Qinsha saw this spectacle, his expression filled with astonishment and terror. He had always known that his father was incredibly extraordinary, far from a typical Foundation establishment cultivator. Yet witnessing his father's methods firsthand left him utterly shaken. Especially this immense Flood Dragon Phantom, its presence alone overwhelmed him, making him feel insignificant and weak, sending shivers down his soul. Rumor has it that some profound and exquisite cultivation techniques allow nurtured Dao soldiers to form formations, which can enhance the master's power significantly. Could this be my father's life path Dao soldiers? Lu Qinsha speculated internally. His cultivation technique, the Beast Technique, also contained methods for nurturing Dao soldiers, but he hadn't yet accessed them. Not bad. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly as he observed the Flood Dragon Phantom. It was no wonder that in years past, Azure Phoenix Immortal, at the initial stage of core formation, could confront cultivators at the late stage of core formation head-on. Even this small contingent of Dao soldiers could enable an initial Foundation establishment cultivator to challenge one at the late stage. If there were 500 Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers, they might be able to defeat a Foundation establishment peak cultivator outright, perhaps even contend against a false core expert. Considering that his family's great formation could only offer basic concealment, Lu Chongqing chose not to test the offensive capabilities of the Flood Dragon Phantom further. Instead, he gestured once more, activating another technique. Roar. The Flood Dragon Phantom let out a resounding roar before dissolving into ethereal light and coiling around Lu Chongqing. In an instant, Lu Chengsheng's azure robe transformed, and a fierce black dragon armor slowly condensed over him. The armor was adorned with intricate runes, while its shoulders bore 2 menacing black dragon head pauldrons. These dragon heads appeared alive, with dark golden vertical pupils and faint dragon breath emanating from their snouts, making it seem as though a black dragon coiled around Lu Chongqing, granting him a cold and imposing aura, like that of a sovereign emperor. Standing nearby, Lu Qinsha gazed at his father in this form, his entire being overwhelmed by a sense of suffocation. Even though Lu Chongqing was merely testing the armor without unleashing his magical aura, the intrinsic dragon might from the Black Dragon Codex made Lu Qinsha's body tense, his heartbeat pounding against his chest, almost compelling him to bow in submission. This was not a pressure born of cultivation-level disparity. Rather, it was an innate suppression of spirits and willpower. Much like the natural suppression of bloodline hierarchy between demon beasts. Later, head to Xuanfu Peak and acclimate yourself to the Dragon Blood Tree's aura. Lu Chongqing spoke, his calm voice carrying an undeniable authority this time. Understood, father. Lu Qinsha, realizing his behavior had slightly displeased his father, quickly activated the Beast Technique and straightened his posture forcefully. Now that Pingan has broken through to the mid-stage of Foundation establishment, with these Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers, even without invoking the 100 Refinements treasure body art, they could spar against Foundation establishment late-stage cultivators. Once the 9-headed Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers all advanced to second rank, alongside quasi-third-tier body refining, they should be able to face off against someone like Sima Tong, a false core cultivator, and even suppress them. Lu Chongqing contemplated internally. This brief experiment had given him a thorough understanding of his Dao soldiers' capabilities. For him personally, they were of little use. However, for his children cultivating the Black Dragon Codex, the Dao soldiers represented a significant force. Even if his children had just reached Foundation establishment, commanding this contingent alone could allow them to confront cultivators at the Foundation establishment late stage head-on. In cases of weaker opponents, they might even achieve a clean victory. Alright, withdraw the Dao soldiers. These second-rank Dao soldiers can be maintained with regular training now, there's no need to allocate excessive resources for their development. The black dragon armor dissipated from Lu Changsheng's body as he addressed his son, Lu Qinsha. Cultivating Dao soldiers was exceptionally resource-intensive. Over the past decades, Lu Changsheng had invested resources worth tens of thousands into the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers. Advancing them to third rank would require resources beyond imagination. Additionally, Dao soldiers, no matter how much was spent, demanded enormous time investment. Moreover, the foundational quality of these Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers was quite average. While advancing to second rank was feasible, progressing to third rank remained exceedingly difficult. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1279. How about waiting to find some Earth-grade bloodline or Heaven-grade bloodline flood dragon offspring in the future, refining them into Dao soldiers? It would be much easier to nurture them then. Yes, father. Lu Qinsha replied respectfully. As a beast tamer, he naturally understood how resource-intensive it was to nurture spirit beasts and Dao soldiers. These resources were enough to cultivate multiple Foundation establishment cultivators. I wonder how much stronger my Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier is compared to the Su family's Water Serpent Dao soldiers. At this moment, Lu Changsheng recalled the two famous Dao soldiers of the beast-taming Su family in Jianghu country. Water Serpent Dao soldiers. Fire Crow Dao soldiers. In Lu Changsheng's view, it seemed inevitable that he would have to face the Su family one day. One reason was the minor grievances between the two families. Another was that the Qingyun region could not accommodate two nascent soul noble families. When Hong Lian emerges, I can let her cultivate a fire element Dao soldier. If there's truly going to be a showdown in the future, a clash of Dao soldiers would be rather interesting. Lu Changsheng chuckled softly, thinking to himself. Hong Lian had several methods for nurturing fire element Dao soldiers. However, nurturing Dao soldiers was truly complex, cumbersome, and costly in terms of money and time. Therefore, Lu Changsheng had only cultivated the Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldier. Now that the family was much wealthier, if it didn't require his own time and energy, Lu Changsheng was still willing to spend money for Hong Lian to cultivate one or two Dao soldiers to enhance the family's foundation. He activated the Mountain Lord token and disabled the effects of the formation, blue water layered streams. Lu Changsheng rode the Blackwater Jiaolong and, along with Lu Qinsha, returned to Baiyun Peak. What just happened? Did the Mountain Lord just put on a show of strength and demonstrate his power? Many people looked at Lu Changsheng atop the Jiaolong's head with reverence and awe. Earlier, although the formation had concealed and shielded the presence of energy, some cultivators near Lake Heart Villa had faintly sensed a terrifying aura of pressure. Daddy! Daddy! As soon as Lu Changsheng returned to Baiyun Peak and dismounted from the Blackwater Jiaolong, his daughter Lu Lingyi, Lu Qingqi, and several other little ones gathered around, looking at him with ingratiating expressions. Qinsha, take your younger siblings out for a stroll and have some fun. Lu Changsheng said with a smile. Although many of the children in the family had ridden spirit boats and iron feather eagles, riding a Jiaolong was undoubtedly a different experience. After all, in various handbooks, ancient texts, and storybooks, there were countless tales of people riding dragons and phoenixes. If, when the remaining Blackwater Jiaolong Dao soldiers ascend to the second rank, I have 9 Jialong pulling a carriage, it would surely outshine the scene of Su family's second ancestor with his wind thunder steeds back then. At this moment, Lu Chongsheng recalled the time in the Purple Shadow secret realm when the false core patriarch of the beast-taming Su family commanded 9 wind thunder steeds to pull his spirit vessel, which was grand beyond words. Although his Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier was no match for the wind thunder steeds in terms of combat power or speed. In terms of grandeur and momentum, it did not fall short and perhaps even surpassed them. Yuner, Zhenzhen, if you would like to give it a try, I'll let you experience it later too. Seeing Lu Miaoyun and the others also gazing at the Blackwater Jialong, Lu Chongsheng chuckled aloud. During dinner, Lu Chongsheng spoke to his son Lu Pingan, Pingan, make time to study the Dao soldier secret techniques and battle formation methods in the Black Dragon Codex. This Dao soldier could indeed be passed down. But for now, within the Lu family, aside from Lu Chongsheng, only Lu Pingan could utilize and wield its power effectively. Yes, father. Lu Pingan nodded in response. 6 days later, Lu Wangshu's foundation establishment ceremony was about to take place. The protagonist of this event, Lu Wangshu, had finally returned to Bai Lake Mountain from Flower Fruit Mountain. Since Lu Chongsheng intended for his son Lu Pingan to appear prominently during the ceremony, Xia Zhiyue had yet to return and was still stationed at Flower Fruit Mountain. Hey, Lu Qinsha, you've got something so amazing, and you didn't tell me. Lu Wangshu, upon seeing a new Jialong in the household during her absence, exclaimed immediately. Sister Wangshu, this is the same Blackwater dragon serpent from before. It only advanced to the 2nd rank a few days ago, enabling it to fly, Lu Qinsha explained. Let me have a go with it. Lu Wangshu looked at the Blackwater Jialong Dao soldier before her with a face full of curiosity and said. Soon, Lu Qinsha handed the symbol of the Blackwater Jialong to Lu Wangshu and gave her a rough overview of how to control it. A short while later, at Bai Shui Lake, Lu Wangshu was riding atop the 2nd rank Blackwater Jialong. Nearby, Lu Qinsha, Lu Qingxian, Lu Qingqi, Lu Lingyi, and Lu Qingli were riding Blackwater dragon fish, having the time of their lives. Hiss, these spirit beasts have similar colors. Could it be that the Lu family is nurturing Dao soldiers? Some Foundation establishment ancestors witnessing this scene could not help but speculate with amazement and suspicion in their hearts. Although the name of Dao soldiers was widely known. Aside from the 4 great immortal sects and nascent soul noble families like the beast-taming Su family, no other forces cultivated them. It wasn't that they didn't want to cultivate them. On one hand, they lacked the heritage of domesticated soldiers. On the other hand, they lacked the capability and financial means. Everyone knew that the resources required to cultivate a Dao soldier were astronomical. Not to mention Foundation establishment families. Even for nascent soul noble families, it was a significant burden. Sar the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Although Bai Lake Mountain cannot afford to cultivate Dao soldiers, it is highly likely they have some kind of Dao soldier heritage. Now, with the Lu ancestor backed by the Qingyun sect in Kaiyun Peak, and with prodigies like Lu Pingan and Lu Wangshu in the family, they might truly become a nascent soul noble family in the future. The Lu family of Bai Lake Mountain, truly terrifying. Many Foundation establishment ancestors who had come to offer congratulations marveled and sighed in astonishment at the strength, foundation, and potential of Bai Lake Mountain's Lu family. Lu Wangshu. Lu Lingxiao, upon hearing of Lu Wangshu's return, immediately sought out his elder sister to spar with her. He knew of Lu Wangshu's achievements at the Red Leaf Valley Market and understood he wasn't her match, but he still wanted to gauge the gap between them. After a long while. Lu Lingxiao, work hard and show some respect for your elder sister in daily life, understood? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1280, Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pink and white dress, her face bright and charming, smiled as she patted her younger brother's shoulder. In her heart, she was grateful for the profound origin bead given by her father. Otherwise, facing Lu Lingxiao, she would have had to use talismans and talisman soldiers. Understood, Sister Wang Shu. Lu Lingxiao's mouth twitched, and he called out with a tense face. He hadn't expected the gap between himself and Lu Wangshu to be so large, not even pushing her to use her talisman formation skills. However, he was not discouraged, as he had come primarily to see the difference between them. He planned to spar with Lu Wangshu again after creating his life-bound spiritual artifact and refining his foundation establishment spell. 5 days later, Lu Wangshu's foundation establishment ceremony officially began. However, to all the guests, this ceremony was not only Lu Wangshu's foundation establishment ceremony but also Lu family's eldest son Lu Pingan's false core ceremony and Lu Changsheng, the Lu family ancestors' talisman master ceremony. Therefore, this ceremony was exceedingly grand. Every force representative or individual loose cultivator who came to congratulate was presented with a congratulatory gift. Even many small chi refinement families and small forces that weren't invited prepared gifts to come to Blue Lake Mountain. After all, for those small family forces, this was an opportunity. If they could become acquainted with the Lu family through gift-giving, it would be worth any expense. Xia family from Lingxi Lake, 5th elder came to congratulate, presenting 3 foundation establishment spirit herbs and 1 top-level spiritual artifact. Owner Yen from Misty Rain Market came to congratulate, presenting a 2nd-rank monster core. Lu Ancestor from Jianghu Mountain came to congratulate, presenting 10 jade green bamboo treasures. Generally, the higher the cultivation level and the larger the force behind, the more generous the congratulatory gift. However, these matters are all about social exchanges. In the future, when these forces host ceremonies, the Lu family also needs to reciprocate. Such a ceremony is truly grand. It was about 39 years ago when the Lu family was established on Blue Lake Mountain. I came with the ancestor to attend the ceremony. Who knew that Blue Lake Mountain would now become a false core family? I always knew the Lu family on Blue Lake Mountain would rise, but I never expected it to rise so quickly. Alas, back then, it was because a direct daughter of the Luo family was noticed by the Lu ancestor and taken as a concubine that the Luo family rapidly rose over the years, having 2 chi refinement great circle cultivators to oversee. Unfortunately, ordinary women now do not catch the eye of the Lu ancestor. Many guests, hearing these congratulatory gifts and watching the coming and going foundation establishment cultivators, exchanged whispers and marveled. Sar the Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The forces that frequently interacted with Blue Lake Mountain were particularly moved. They had witnessed the establishment and rise of Blue Lake Mountain's Lu family. But who would have thought, in the blink of an eye, Blue Lake Mountain had grown to such a degree, becoming a behemoth. Bai Yunyang, the ancestor of the 100 Birds Lake Bai family, looked at the scenes before him, feeling a bit dazed. When Lu Changsheng attacked Blue Lake Mountain back then, he had helped out. Now, more than 30 years later, his 100 Birds Lake still had only 1 foundation establishment cultivator. And Blue Lake Mountain now officially had 9 foundation establishment cultivators, a world of difference between the two. It wasn't that the Bai family had developed poorly. In 39 years, following Blue Lake Mountain and relying on the Red Leaf Valley market, the Bai family's strength had almost doubled compared to before. But no family had developed like Blue Lake Mountain. Hong Yi also came to Blue Lake Mountain with a congratulatory gift. Looking at the scene before him, he was filled with emotion. 60 years ago, if someone had told him Lu Changsheng could grow to this extent, he wouldn't have believed it even if they killed him. In his heart, he was incredibly grateful to know Lu Changsheng and to have fostered good relations. If I could see Xuanji achieve foundation establishment, I, Hong Yi, would have no regrets in this life. Hong Yi recalled that a few days ago, his son Hong Xuanji told him he was preparing for foundation establishment. The reason was simple: his wife, Lu Caizhen, had requested a foundation establishment elixir for him. At the time of hearing this, Hong Yi felt like he was dreaming, thinking he was hallucinating. After all, foundation establishment elixirs were precious. Even though he had years of friendship with Lu Changsheng, he didn't dare ask for a foundation establishment elixir. Now the other has taken the initiative to give his son an opportunity. Although he felt his son's chance of achieving foundation establishment was low, he still brought out all the family savings, letting him purchase foundation establishment spirit objects and prepare well. This ceremony, Lu Changsheng just went through the motions. Mainly, it was Lu Pingan, Lu Wangshu, and Lu Xingyang who made appearances. Since Lu Miaoge had previously said she would present a few third-rank talismans as a giveaway at the ceremony, Lu Changsheng also took out 5 ready third-rank lower-quality talismans for a simple auction. The enthusiasm of the foundation establishment cultivators present exceeded Lu Changsheng's expectations, with each third-rank talisman fetching tens of thousands of spirit stones. However, of the 5 third-rank talismans, except for 2 that were purely sold at high spirit stone prices, the other 3 involved a trade of spirit stones plus item exchanges. This made Lu Changsheng realize that this stuff was sometimes more effective than foundation establishment elixirs. Or rather, foundation establishment elixirs were mostly needed by family forces, while third-rank talismans were needed by both family forces and loose cultivators. Especially those who risked their lives on the line, adventuring and exploring secret realms, these loose cultivators. Rest assured, everyone, our Blue Lake Mountain Lu family still adheres to the development path of harmony and shared prosperity, and will not proactively make enemies with any family forces. After the ceremony had progressed to a certain point, Lu Changsheng spoke up. Although nobody fully believed and trusted such words, but with Blue Lake Mountain's current strength and reputation, Lu Changsheng, the ancestor, saying these words carried a certain weight. Thus, with the newly established Lu Family Commerce Association not yet fully set up, many forces were already willing to join voluntarily to form a commerce alliance. However, in these matters, Lu Changsheng did not concern himself, leaving it for Lu Xingyang and others to arrange and handle. After all, he only set the family's general direction, it was for the children to implement, and he had no leisure to worry. However, facing the enthusiasm of various family forces, after some thought, Lu Changsheng still accepted 5 maidservants to show goodwill. After the ceremony ended, Lu Changsheng returned to continue spending his days with his wives, concubines, and children, occasionally making talismans, teaching Li Xingrua alchemy, and child-rearing. Half a month later. Congratulations to the host's first offspring for becoming a second-order spiritual plant master, receiving 1 lottery chance. Second-order spiritual plant master? Lu Changsheng's brow lightly raised, momentarily unsure which child had advanced to a second-order spiritual plant master. Because the path of spiritual plants, among the 100 arts of cultivation, was the simplest, many of his children followed it. It should be Xingyue, right? Lu Changsheng thought for a moment, considering his daughter Lu Xingyue to be the likeliest. Though he had several children who were top-level spiritual plant masters, either their cultivation level was a bit low, or they had only recently advanced, only daughter Lu Xingyue fit the bill. And a few days ago, Lu Xingyue was preparing to nurture her divine sense before foundation establishment, then impact foundation establishment. Having her divine sense would greatly help with these skills. Lu Changsheng did not dwell much on it, silently thinking, system, draw. A light red roulette appeared, and golden light began to spin. A moment later, the golden light stopped on the magical treasure section. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the magical treasure, formless treasure wheel. The reward has been sent to the system space, and the host can check it anytime. A crystal clear, faintly golden glowing treasure wheel, etched with ancient patterns, emerged from the roulette as a system prompt sounded. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1281, Magical Treasure. Lu Chongsheng looked at the reward and raised his brows slightly. In his earlier years, he felt indifferent about magical treasures. Now that he had broken through to core formation and had no suitable treasures on hand, he found himself looking forward to obtaining one. He considered using the system to draw a few handy magical treasures. After all, crafting a magical treasure himself would be immensely time-consuming. Lu Changsheng's mental spirit moved as he gazed into the system space. Magic artifact, formless treasure wheel, grade, superior quality treasure, description, formless creates infinite phenomena. This treasure wheel can empower various techniques and divine skills, golden core law domains, forming the formless domain that derives infinite transformations and defies prediction. Formless domain. This magical treasure seems to have something interesting. Lu Chongsheng squinted as he read the description of the formless treasure wheel before him. He recalled hearing about realms from Hong Lian. When one breaks through core formation into nascent soul true lord, the law domain advances further, enabling the practitioner to shatter the void and condense a fragmented independent space. This space could not only be used for combat but also for storage or even as a residence. And this space is known as a realm. Extract. Lu Chongsheng immediately extracted the formless treasure wheel from the system space, eager to test its effects and examine the realm it could generate. In an instant, a 3-foot-long, crystal-clear wheel adorned with intricate golden patterns appeared, radiating a faint golden light. CTH Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Simultaneously, Lu Chongsheng gained a detailed understanding of this magical treasure's capabilities. This treasure wheel was primarily functional and lacked proactive offensive capabilities. However, it could enhance any technique or divine skill, boosting their efficacy by approximately 30% while generating illusory attacks, leaving opponents defenseless. This effect could also augment the core formation law domain, enhancing its power, restricting mana, and disrupting mental spirits. This was the formless treasure wheel's mode of attack. Beyond offense, its defensive capabilities allowed it to form a protective domain and spiritual shielding. The effects were fairly impressive, even comparable to low-quality and some middle-grade defensive treasures. If faced with an unmanageable attack, it could also activate the formless domain, using the realm space to absorb and withstand the assault. However, once the realm was broken, this magical treasure would be nearly ruined. The formless domain was essentially an independent space opened through the gateway of the formless treasure wheel. This space could be used for storing items, suppressing enemies, isolating poisonous vapors, mists, and other methods. As for residing inside, it was indeed possible. But the interior was extremely small, devoid of spiritual energy, akin to emptiness, dry, monotonous, and capable of driving one to madness. This formless domain pairs perfectly with my yin-yang qi grasp. Lu Changsheng's expression brightened as he examined the magical treasure's abilities. While the treasure wheel's offensive and defensive capabilities were merely adequate for him, the formless domain's features brought him unparalleled delight. The formless domain, when used to subdue enemies, could strip their senses, immobilize their mana, and function as a portable prison. His yin-yang qi grasp's inherent ability to capture, suppress, and restrain aligned seamlessly. If he used yin-yang qi grasp to apprehend and suppress an opponent, then transferred them into the formless domain, even a core formation true master might be powerless to resist or escape. Previously, though his yin-yang grasp was overwhelming and tyrannical, it could only suppress an enemy briefly, lacking the ability for prolonged containment. But if I encounter a tough adversary who breaks the realm, this magical treasure would be rendered useless. Lu Chongsheng was also keenly aware of the drawbacks. After all, becoming a core formation true master was no easy feat, requiring extensive trump cards and strategies. Under the combined suppression of yin-yang qi grasp and the formless treasure wheel, an opponent still might find a way to shatter the formless domain and escape through some means. As long as I act swiftly, there shouldn't be too much trouble. Lu Chongsheng mused silently. After all, if an opponent could easily break the formless domain, they wouldn't have been subdued by the treasure will to begin with. Besides, he had no reason to imprison anyone without necessity. Once subdued within the formless domain, the logical move would be to eliminate the enemy immediately. Sister Miaoge, Lu Chongqing remembered that in a few months, the Tianyuan secret realm would be opening. He figured he should mention it to Lu Miaoge and then proceed with closed-door cultivation to refine the treasure. He planned to fully refine it before heading to the Tianyuan secret realm. That way, even if unexpected situations arose, he'd have additional methods at his disposal. Inside a mountain cave. Daoist, you're awake. Lu Xingqian looked at the white-robed youth before him and spoke. One might say a good deed deserves to be carried through. After rescuing the young man and seeing him unconscious, Lu Xingqian had been tending to him and healing his injuries these past days. However, the severity of his injuries astounded Lu Xingqian. Not only was his body battered and scarred, but his meridians, Qi Ocean Core, and Dantian were in utter disarray. Yet, under such circumstances, he had still managed to hold his ground against a pack of green-winged wolves for so long. To Lu Xingqian, this was nothing short of a miracle. Had he not cultivated the Cauldron Medical King scripture, and possessed an ample supply of elixir medicines, he might not have been able to save this person. In addition to his own abilities, Lu Xingqian could tell that the youth had an extraordinary physical body, likely enhanced by rare spiritual medicine or refined to the level of second rank. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the resilience to survive and endure under such conditions. Beyond that, Lu Xingqian also discerned that the youth was disguised. She was likely a woman. Thank you, Daoist, for saving me. Wang Yanjing's pale and frail face revealed gratitude as she spoke softly. She was well aware of the dire nature of her injuries, having nearly crossed death's threshold. During these days of unconsciousness, she often sensed a cool and soothing greenish energy flowing within her, dragging her back from the brink of death. Since we've crossed paths, it wouldn't sit right to leave you for dead. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1282, Lu Xingqian shook his head and said, he had spared no effort to heal the other during these past days. After speaking, he glanced at the roasting turkey crackling with oil, sprinkled some powder on it, tore off a drumstick, and handed it to her. You've been gravely wounded and unconscious for such a long time. You must be hungry, right? Here. Wang Yanjing stared at the golden, oil-dripping drumstick before her, slightly stunned. Her ordinary pale face quickly revealed a moving smile as she said, "Thank you. Daoist friend, your injuries seem severe. You must have used some kind of secret technique prior to this, am I correct?" Lu Xingqian tore off another drumstick for himself and casually asked. Though he wasn't young, he had never ventured far from home and remained curious about many things in the cultivation world. During the healing process, he had noticed that the other person was no ordinary individual. Curiosity drove him to inquire further, to confirm his judgment. Of course, he also wanted to subtly probe her situation, to determine whether it was good or bad. Upon hearing these words, Wang Yanjing's heart skipped a beat as she realized he was probing her circumstances. Reflecting on the past few days, she assumed he had already deduced most of her situation. In a weak and low voice, she replied, "Yes, I was originally a Foundation establishment cultivator. But shortly after breaking through, I used a secret technique, which caused my cultivation level to fall to this state." Foundation establishment. Lu Xingqian was quite surprised, suddenly understanding why her physical body differed from that of an energy-refining cultivator. He refrained from asking too much all at once. As the two of them interacted over time, their relationship grew much closer, and Lu Xingqian came to understand her identity and circumstances. Her name was Li Jingyi, and she hailed from a Foundation establishment family, serving as the family's Foundation establishment seedling. 6 months ago, shortly after breaking through to Foundation establishment, she was ambushed by an archenemy. The enemy had hired 2 Foundation establishment great cultivators for reinforcements, and her family stood no chance against them. Protected by her elders who fought to the death and through the use of a secret technique, she narrowly escaped with her life and fled to this location. Her cultivation level had fallen from Foundation establishment back to the 7th level of energy refinement, and her meridians and dantian were in disarray. Relying on a treasure hunting and medicine collecting technique she cultivated in her youth, she came here searching for spiritual medicine, only to be attacked by a pack of green wind wolves, including a mutant wolf king, which caused her injuries to erupt. As a clan cultivator and a Foundation establishment seedling of the Lu family at By Lake Mountain, Lu Xingqian found her experiences quite touching. Sar the novel, F.I.R. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Several days later. Miss Li, if you have no place to go for now, I can escort you to my family's marketplace for temporary shelter. Through their days of interaction, Lu Xingqian felt that she was quite decent and was willing to offer a helping hand. Considering her talent, should she recover her Foundation establishment in the future, this could form a beneficial connection. As for her family feud, Lu Xingqian was undaunted. First, her family was not in the Qingyun domain but in the Luoxia region, which was far away. Second, both families were Foundation establishment families with only 2 Foundation establishment cultivators guarding them, posing little threat. If that's the case, thank you, Lu Daoist. Wang Yanjing had now shed her boyish appearance and assumed her true form as a 20-year-old young woman. Though her looks were unremarkable, her round and jade-like demeanor exuded the elegance of a prominent family. Through their interactions over the past few days, she realized that Lu Xingqian, despite his Foundation establishment cultivation level, had little worldly experience. His character remained straightforward and honest, kind-hearted and generous. Knowing her injuries would take time to heal, she thought it best to find shelter in the marketplace and plan her next steps. All right. Lu Xingqian smiled warmly, his face gentle and scholarly. His offer to take her to his family's marketplace was spurred by his urgency to return home. He felt he had been delayed too long due to her circumstances. If delayed any longer, his family would worry about his well-being. Qingyun sect. On this day, Sima Qiuhua and the great elder of the Sima family arrived at the enforcement hall of Qingyun sect. Their delay in coming to the enforcement hall to ransom Sima Tong was not intentional. 20,000 spirit stones was no small figure. Even though the Sima family was a false core family, gathering such a sum required some maneuvering. Plus, there was a spirit land and 10 shops to consider. Although the Qingyun sect had made its demands clear, they dared not act rashly. Yet they couldn't leave the spirit land's crops or shop assets behind and needed time to handle everything. The speed at which they resolved these matters was already impressive. Upon arriving at the enforcement hall, they expressed their intentions. The elder at the enforcement hall did not deliberately make things difficult for them. After inspecting the spirit stones within their storage bag and verifying the property deeds for the spirit land and shops, he escorted them to see Sima Tong. Second uncle. Ancestor. The great elder of the Sima family and Sima Qiuhua called out in trembling voices upon seeing the pale-faced and severely weakened Sima Tong. Sima Tong had not suffered any mistreatment or abuse during his captivity. However, the injuries he sustained battling Lu Pingan, including the self-detonation of his magical treasure, had only been superficially treated, leaving him debilitated. Wen Yuan, Qiuhua. Sima Tong's voice was hoarse and his appearance greatly aged as he responded weakly. Though he didn't know the finer details of what had transpired during these days, he had a general understanding, and his heart burned with frustration and anger. Second uncle, you've suffered. Well, take you back home now. Sima Wenyuan stepped forward to help Sima Tong out of the enforcement hall. The elder from the enforcement hall observed and said a few obligatory words, emphasizing how the Sima family of Xuanwu Ridge and the Lu family of By Lake Mountain were both families under Qinjian's rule and how they should conduct themselves properly. After all, The matter was concluded with the judgment that the Sima family of Xuanwu Ridge had initiated provocation and blatantly ambushed the Lu family of Bai Lake Mountain, stirring conflict between the two. Elder Su, we understand. Sima Wenyuan hurriedly cupped his hands in respect, offering a superior-grade spirit stone from his storage bag. Elder Su nodded slightly upon receiving the spirit stone and refrained from saying more. After giving several instructions to the disciples of the enforcement hall, he personally set off for Bai Lake Mountain to deliver the spirit stones and property deeds. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1283, Lu Changsheng, as a third-rank talisman master and favored by Kaiyun True Immortal, has been appointed as a visiting noble servant. Even though he holds the status of a false core immortal, enforcement elders are willing to show some respect and maintain good relations with Bai Lake Mountain. Wenyuan, how much spirit stone has the family spent on compensation this time? Sima Tong, seated on a spirit boat with Sima Wenyuan after departing Qingyun sect, asked in a faint and weak voice. Second uncle, Sima Wenyuan could tell that their family patriarch was not in a good state. If he were to hear about such compensations, he might erupt in rage, sending his chi blood into turmoil. Say it. Fine. Sima Tong sighed deeply and responded. 200,000 spirit stones, the spirit land at Hemming Mountain, and 10 shops, Sima Wenyuan reported in a low tone. What, ugh? Hearing those words, Sima Tong's eyes widened with shock, his fists clenched tightly, his pale face flushed red, and he spewed a mouthful of fresh blood. This journey not only cost his Sima family 4 young prodigies and a foundation establishment late-stage cultivator but also left him gravely injured and half-crippled. Even if he recuperated, he would be considered the lowest tier of false core immortals. And in these dire circumstances, his family had paid such an excessive amount of spirit stone assets just to save him. Agonizing. Sima Tong felt a unique grievance, anger like he had never experienced before. It was worth noting that he had earlier been suppressed by Lu Pingan, and upon waking, his storage bag had also been taken. Thus, this trip led to losses for the Sima family exceeding 1 million spirit stones. Second uncle, S.E.A. the novel _fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Sima Wenyuan quickly supported Sima Tong, channeling his mana to help soothe his meridians and stabilize his chi blood. With a visibly bitter expression, he said, Lu Changsheng is backed by Kaiyun True Immortal and has become Qingyun sect's visiting noble servant. Furthermore, Kaiyun True Immortal personally intervened in this matter, leaving our Sima family absolutely no room for negotiation. Previously, Jiahua had gone to seek an audience with Yuji True Immortal but was reprimanded instead over this issue. So, for this matter, even if we want revenge, we can only wait for the storm to pass and act covertly. Sima Wenyuan expressed grimly. Having suffered such devastating losses, the Sima family naturally didn't want to let the matter go. Especially with Bai Lake Mountain growing at such an unprecedented pace, it filled the Sima family with unease, unwilling to witness Lu family rise in power like this. Kaiyun True Immortal. Upon hearing that Kaiyun True Immortal had intervened, Sima Tong exhaled deeply, a sense of powerlessness surging in his heart. Qingyun sect, the insurmountable mountain looming over these family forces. And the nascent soul immortals of Qingyun sect, they are the mountain's rulers, holding the very power of life and death over them. Bai Lake Mountain, the Lu family. Endless rage, hatred, and murderous intent surged within Sima Tong's heart. But as he contemplated his current state, an air of helpless despair washed over him. With injuries of this severity, it would take at least 3 to 5 years to recuperate before he could engage in combat. Even then, he estimated that he would still fail to contend with Lu Pingan. But in that instant, he recalled escaping to Misty Rain Market during his plight, only for the marketplace to activate its great formation and refuse aid, leaving him to perish. If the market had intervened at that time, he might have escaped, and his family might not have suffered such losses. Humph. Sima Tong snorted coldly, recounting the Misty Rain Market incident to Sima Wenyuan. Unable to touch by Lake Mountain Lu family, surely they could deal with a mere marketplace. A chance to not only recover some losses but also make a statement, affirming that their family remains a force among the false core families. By Lake Mountain. Biyun Villa, within a grand hall. Thank you, Elder Su. Matters like these could have been notified through others. Lu Miaoyun promptly received the enforcement elder from Qingyun's sect upon hearing of his arrival, to provide hospitality. This elder happened to have some free time, and considering By Lake Mountain isn't far from Qingyun's sect, decided to personally make the trip. The enforcement elder was visibly disappointed at Lu Changsheng's absence. He had hoped to seize this opportunity to establish familiarity with Lu Changsheng and Lu Pingan. Having managed family affairs for years, Lu Miaoyun had cultivated shrewdness and tact. She explained that her husband had entered closed-door cultivation after a recent epiphany, while her eldest son, Lu Pingan, was currently at White Tiger Mountain. Assuring that if Elder Su had pressing matters, she would notify her husband promptly. This elder carries no particular matter, only admiration for the illustrious By Lake Mountain Lord. Upon hearing that Lu Changsheng was in closed-door cultivation, the enforcement elder refrained from disturbing him. After some casual chatter, he rose to take his leave. Elder Su, thank you for your troubles this trip. Please accept this humble token of gratitude. Lu Miaoyun presented a jade box to Elder Su. Utilizing his divine sense, Elder Su glanced inside and was stunned by the discovery, a third-rank talisman. He couldn't help but marvel at the sheer generosity of By Lake Mountain. No doubt, this act confirmed that the By Lake Mountain Lord's talisman path skills had reached third rank long ago. His expression brightened as he said warmly, Lady Lu, this is far too kind. Should your family encounter obstacles in substantiating your spirit land or transferring shop ownership, feel free to seek assistance from the enforcement hall. Likewise, if you face any issues in the future, you can look for this elder. I still command some influence within the sect. Elder Zu's demeanor shifted to one of heightened enthusiasm. This initial gesture of generosity from By Lake Mountain made him keen on establishing closer ties. After all, By Lake Mountain boasted Lu Changsheng, the third-rank talisman master, along with a top-tier alchemist capable of refining foundation establishment elixirs. In the future, he might need favors from By Lake Mountain. That's excellent, the family may very well trouble Elder Su in the future. Lu Miaoyun replied with an amiable smile. Silently, she praised her husband's foresight, having long anticipated that third-rank talismans could pave the way for forging family connections. After sending Elder Su on his way, she handed over the spiritual contract to Lu Xingyang for arrangements, assigning personnel to take over the spirit land and shops. With the Sima family's compensations, the feud between By Lake Mountain Lu family and Xuanwu Ridge's Sima family reached a temporary resolution. This matter didn't stir much attention. However, families like Jinlong Ridge Jin family, Lingxi Lake Xia family, and Great Ape Mountain Yuan family kept a close watch. After all, rumors of Lu Changsheng aligning with Kaiyun True Immortal were simply astounding, prompting further verification efforts. Observing the outcome of this matter, these families realized there was truth to the buzz. The entanglement between By Lake Mountain and Xuanwu Ridge had indeed drawn Kaiyun True Immortal's intervention. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, Qingyun's sect's usual approach would have been mutual reprimands. At that moment, these family forces grew increasingly wary of By Lake Mountain. For now, By Lake Mountain remained quiet, with family operations proceeding normally, and trade caravans continuing their journeys uninterrupted. But with Lu Pingan's victory over Sima Tong, the caravans, now under Lu Rui's charge, no longer required Lu Pingan to personally oversee them. Under typical circumstances, one or two foundation establishment cultivators were sufficient for caravan security. Half a month later, Xiao Xie arrived at By Lake Mountain, delivering news regarding the Tianyuan's secret realm. Finding Lu Chongsheng in closed-door cultivation, she handed the secret realm token to Lu Miaoge. She explained that if Lu Chongsheng had yet to emerge from seclusion after a month, then they should notify him to proceed to Luoyun mountain range and head to the Tianyuan's secret realm. Aside from this token, Xiaoxia left Lu Chongsheng another item, a keepsake. She stated that if needed, the keepsake could be used to contact her senior sister, Chu Qingyi. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1284. The news of the 4 great immortal sects opening the Tianyuan secret realm did not cause much of a stir in the Jianghu country cultivation realm. After all, this secret realm had little to do with most cultivators. Sir the Novel Fire, net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. 9 out of 10 cultivators in Jianghu country hadn't even heard of the Tianyuan's secret realm. However, the 4 great immortal sects releasing a portion of the secret realm quotas to their subordinate family forces caused these families to be both excited and joyful. Yet amidst the joy, some couldn't help but feel unease. They only had a vague understanding of the Tianyuan's secret realm. They had heard rumors of how the opportunities within this realm drew the covetous gaze of many cultivators from other nations. There were even whispers of demonic path nascent soul cultivators lurking within the Jianghu country cultivation realm, scheming to seize these opportunities. They feared the dangers they might encounter upon entering the secret realm. At this very moment, the Zhang family of Little Kong Mountain. Honored Envoy, this is the list of subordinate family forces under the jurisdiction of the Wuxia sect that have been granted quotas for the Tianyuan's secret realm. The Zhang family patriarch knelt outside the forbidden courtyard of his family's grounds, prostrated himself, and presented a jade slip with a respectful tone. The Tianyuan secret realm is finally about to open? A serene and indifferent, yet slightly delighted and enchanting voice spoke from within the pavilion. A slender and graceful jade hand extended, taking the jade slip to assess its contents. A moment later, the figure dissolved into a cascade of purple stardust, vanishing without a trace. Such events, like at the Zhang family of Little Kong Mountain, occurred in many other places. Now, it's only a matter of waiting for the fish to take the bait. This battle must not be lost. At the same time, the high-ranking members of the 4 great immortal sects in Jianghu country were also mobilizing in succession. For a time, hidden currents churned fiercely within the Jianghu country cultivation realm. By Lake Mountain. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. It's finally complete. Lu Chongsheng opened his eyes, gazing at the translucent, crystal-like formless treasure will before him, emitting a faint golden glow. With a subtle mental command, the treasure will hovered behind him, radiating 9-colored divine light, making his whole being appear sacred and extraordinary, with an awe-inspiring and solemn majesty. Buzz! The treasure will began to spin, its radiance brilliant. Around Lu Chongsheng, it seemed as though endless flames blazed and deafening thunder roared. In an instant, flying swords materialized one after another, forming a menacing assault. However, these attacks caused no actual damage to the cave heaven. They were all mere illusions created by the formless treasure wheel. The effects were both realistic and illusory, even a nascent soul cultivator would need to discern carefully. In battle, even if such illusions could be recognized, they would still disrupt the opponent's mental focus. If he combined this effect with a technique or divine skill capable of truly blending illusion with reality, he could catch his opponents completely off guard. It's a pity that I've lacked the time and conditions to cultivate the 6 Desires Heart Demon technique. Otherwise, it would pair perfectly with the formless treasure wheel. Lu Chongsheng pondered to himself. The 6 Desires Heart Demon technique was an intricate divine consciousness cultivation technique. If cultivated to profound levels, it could blur reality and illusion, deceiving and disrupting others' sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and thought. However, Cultivating this technique was exceptionally dangerous and troublesome, requiring one to temper themselves against the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Domain. Lu Chongqing formed a gesture incantation with one hand, and the formless treasure will behind him suddenly trembled. The originally 3-foot wide will expanded to 7 or 8 feet. Its intricate, radiant crystalline patterns began to flow, forming an invisible field that enveloped Lu Chongqing within. This domain became increasingly tangible, forming a protective spiritual light that flowed around Lu Chongqing's body. Formless domain. Lu Chongqing formed successive incantations with his hands, his expression steady and focused. Buzz. In that instant, the spinning formless treasure will seem to burn like a miniature sun, exuding an oppressive aura capable of suppressing mountains, rivers, and the vast heavens. Lu Chongqing's divine sense swiftly entered the formless domain. Inside, it resembled a boundless void. There were no rules or boundaries. Vision, hearing, taste, smell, and touch, all seemed to vanish, making it impossible to discern one's location. If one were to open their eyes and suddenly find themselves in such a place, even a cultivator would feel a surge of fear. Light. With a subtle shift of his mental focus, Lu Chongqing activated the formless treasure wheel with his mana. Instantly, the void gained a faint luster. But Lu Chongqing was well aware that it was merely an illusion. The true formless domain was nothing but a confined void space. Not bad. After a brief experience of the formless treasure wheel's effects, Lu Chongqing nodded in satisfaction. With a mere thought, he retracted the treasure into his Qi ocean core within his dantian and stepped out of his cave mansion. Chongqing. Lu Miaoge, who had been instructing her son, sensed his presence. Seeing Lu Chongqing, she approached to discuss the matter of the Tianyuan's secret realm. So soon? Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow, then smiled. Good. By the way, Chongqing, Lu Miaoge went on to inform Lu Chongqing about another matter. A few days ago, a Foundation establishment faction called Misty Rain Market came to Bai Lake Mountain to seek help, expressing their willingness to become a vassal. Misty Rain Market? I recall that their prefect once came to us before but refused to accept the terms of vassalage. Why have they come again seeking it? Lu Chongqing frowned slightly, recalling some impressions of this marketplace. They had previously visited Bai Lake Mountain, hinting at their intention to seek protection. However, their offered benefits were too meager, leading to no agreement. Instead, they only established a basic cooperative relationship, allowing the Lu Family Commerce Association to set up within Misty Rain Market. Yes. Lu Miaoge, her features refined and voice gentle, explained, this matter is connected to the Sima family. Previously, when Pingon was pursuing Sima Tong, the latter was ultimately captured at Misty Rain Market. It seems that after Sima Tong returned to his family some days ago, he was unwilling to let the matter rest. He sent people to Misty Rain Market to demand accountability, prompting Prefect Yu to seek our assistance and agree to vassalage. Lu Miaoge explained calmly. The Sima family truly is overbearing. Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly at this and said, if they're now willing to accept vassalage and provide sufficient benefits, there's no harm in agreeing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1285, Lu Chongqing was quite pleased with a faction like Misty Rain Market coming to pledge allegiance. After all, under Bai Lake Mountain's name, there were no truly presentable subordinate forces at the moment. Misty Rain Market not only had 2 Foundation establishment cultivators holding the fort, but also lacked entangled interests and complexities. Moreover, they could provide significant profits annually, making them quite a high-quality faction. The prefect of Misty Rain Market is willing to agree to all subjugation terms, but she also has one condition. Lu Miaoge paused briefly and said softly. Oh? What's the condition? Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow slightly. She hopes you can take her as a concubine, Lu Miaoge spoke in a gentle tone. Lu Chongsheng froze for a moment. He hadn't expected such a request from the other party. Had his charm really reached such heights? However, Lu Chongsheng instantly understood. The other party likely wanted to further solidify the relationship through this method to secure greater benefits. Heh, this woman does have some courage. Lu Chongsheng chuckled softly and said, if her character is decent, there's no harm in agreeing. For a foundation establishment cultivator to willingly propose becoming a concubine, as long as her character passed muster, the Lu ancestor wouldn't mind giving her a chance. Moreover, Misty Rain Market's allegiance to his family could greatly benefit its development. As the Lord of By Lake Mountain, he was willing to make a bit of personal sacrifice for the family. Sister Ling has already investigated beforehand, so she made the decision directly. When you're free, Chongsheng, you can make a trip to Misty Rain Market to settle this matter. Lu Miaoge, gentle as water, spoke softly. CTH Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Hearing this, Lu Chongsheng was somewhat speechless. Grasping Lu Miaoge's fair hand, he spoke warmly, Sister Miaoge, it's all right, Chongsheng. Lu Miaoge gently shook her head. The two had been husband and wife for many years. She knew her husband had no unusual hobbies except for his wish to fill the house with children and grandchildren, building a large family with abundant blessings. She even knew that in his youth, Lu Chongsheng had resolved to marry hundreds of wives and father hundreds of children in his lifetime. Now, with a foundation female cultivator possessing good character and appearance proactively volunteering, she naturally wished to support her husband. The two chatted for a while before Lu Chongsheng checked in on his son, Lu Qingxian, and his cultivation progress. He then paid visits to other wives, concubines, and children in the household and spent time with a maidservant he had recently taken in. 5 days later, with the time for the Tianyuan secret realm approaching, Lu Chongsheng didn't hurry to Misty Rain Market to take concubines but went directly to the secret realm instead. Chongsheng, husband, take care on the road. Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, and others expressed their concern. They had all heard about the Tianyuan secret realm. However, previously Xiaoxia had visited and shared some details, claiming it was very safe. Moreover, they knew their husband's cultivation strength well, so their worry wasn't excessive. Don't worry. Lu Chongsheng smiled as he bid farewell to the women before boarding his purple flying shuttle and heading for the Luoyun mountain range. The quota for the Tianyuan secret realm wasn't allocated to every family or power. Factions like Jianghu Mountain and Hundred Birds Lake didn't receive any slots. Thus, on this trip, Lu Chongsheng was traveling alone and had no companions. I wonder if he'll encounter any ambushers. Clad in a cyan robe, standing atop the purple flying shuttle, Lu Chongsheng mused to himself. Previously, when chatting with Xiaoxia, she had speculated that the opening of the Tianyuan secret realm might be a trap set by the 4 great immortal sects. She even suspected that family cultivators like them were merely bait for the 4 great immortal sects. Because while the secret realm's entry was allowed for sect disciples, spots were also given to certain family powers. Sect disciples naturally had the protection of their sect elders, ensuring they faced no dangers during the journey. Family cultivators traveling alone, however, might encounter ambushes, their identities stolen, and someone else sneaking into the secret realm in their place. It would actually be nice to encounter a couple of demonic path golden core cultivators. Lu Chongsheng was not afraid. In fact, he looked forward to running into a few demonic path nascent soul cultivators. In his possession was a cultivation technique called the Brahman Demon True Saint technique. The cultivation of this technique was extremely stringent. It required demonic Dao origin, heavenly demon blood, and a Buddhist relic for marrow cleansing and body refinement before it could be practiced successfully. He had barely managed to gather the heavenly demon blood. But as for the demonic Dao origin and the Buddhist relic, Lu Chongsheng still had no leads. So, if he could suppress one or two demonic path golden core cultivators, it might help him gather the demonic Dao origin. Of course, such notions were merely idle thoughts. Golden core cultivators were exceedingly rare. Moreover, condensing a superior gold core through demonic techniques was even harder than doing so with orthodox methods. Thus, obtaining such a demonic Dao origin was probably more difficult than acquiring heavenly demon blood. The journey from Bai Lake Mountain to the Luoyun mountain range was quite substantial. Considering the possibility of a trap by the four great immortal sects and potential ambushes by demonic path foundation establishment cultivators along the way, Lu Chongsheng decided to act as bait himself, deliberately projecting the cultivation level of a mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator while piloting the purple flying shuttle. A month later, Lu Chongsheng reached the Luoyun mountain range. The journey had been uneventful. He hadn't even encountered a single ambushing or rogue cultivator, which left him somewhat disappointed. However, this wasn't unexpected. Jianghu country's cultivation realm was vast, and there were likely no more than 20 or 30 nascent soul cultivators drawn here for the opportunity. The odds of encountering them were naturally slim. Upon reaching the Luoyun mountain range, however, the atmosphere grew livelier. Every so often, another cultivator could be seen flying swiftly to the area. It seemed that, like him, they had obtained entry to the Tianyuan secret realm. At present, the Luoyun mountain range remained in a state of lockdown, patrolled heavily by sect disciples. All entrants were required to present their identity tokens. Under the guidance of these sect disciples, it wasn't long before Lu Chongsheng arrived at the location of the Tianyuan secret realm. A temporary base was stationed there, enveloped in dense spiritual light, likely supported by a third-order formation. There isn't even a third-order spirit vein here, so the operation of this formation must entirely rely on burning spirit stones. As expected of the four great immortal sects, truly wealthy. Lu Chongsheng thought to himself as he stepped forward to present both his identity token and the secret realm token given to him by Xiaoxia, gaining entry to the outpost. Please. The sect disciple, after verifying his identity, made a welcoming gesture. Entering the formation's gate, Lu Chongsheng found himself in a narrow corridor stretching endlessly into the distance. The corridor was about a zhang in height and width, made entirely of pitch-black stone, sealed tightly enough to cause a sense of mental oppression and discomfort. This seems to have been constructed with mystical iron essence, Tiangang mystical iron, and a few other minerals, thus possessing a divine sense isolation effect. As a third-order artifact refiner, Lu Chongsheng immediately discerned a few details. Attempting to probe the walls with his divine sense, he immediately felt a layer of energy blocking him, preventing penetration. Though he could likely break through with full effort, doing so might trigger hidden prohibitions, alerting others to any abnormalities. It appears the four great immortal sects prepared thoroughly, setting up a heaven and earth net from the very entrance. Striding forward, Lu Chongsheng pondered, somewhat concerned whether his cultivation realm would be seen through. Although the sealing divine light of the 9 treasures Rui Bone could conceal his cultivation and mana levels, making them undetectable, this time, it seemed the four great immortal sects had employed numerous sophisticated means. What if their measures could see through disguises and detect cultivation realms? If the worst happens, they'll simply escape using the teleportation talisman or life-substituting talisman and claim I encountered some danger en route. Maintaining a calm expression, Lu Chongsheng continued forward steadily. After nearly a quarter of an hour, a rippling gate appeared before him. Stepping through, the world around him transformed completely. He found himself in a square underground palace. Here, the air was saturated with incomparably dense spiritual energy, leaving one feeling refreshed and at ease. This spiritual energy, Lu Chongsheng felt a bit astonished. With his dragon-seeking art, he had not detected a third-order spirit vein prior to entering. Yet the density and purity of the spiritual energy here were nearly on par with those of a middle to upper third-order spirit vein. Could this spiritual energy be emanating from the Tianyuan secret realm? Lu Chongsheng observed a fissure nearby, large enough for a person to pass through. From the fissure, clouds of dense, mist-like spiritual energy continually flowed out. Fellow Daoist, please be patient for a few more days. A sect disciple addressed Lu Changsheng, indicating that he could rest and cultivate in the meantime. The spiritual energy here was enough to support the cultivation of over 100 Foundation establishment cultivators. Thank you. Lu Changsheng nodded slightly and found a spot to rest. The place already had a good number of individuals gathered, including someone Lu Changsheng recognized. It was Jin Zan, the ancestor of the Jin family of Golden Dragon Ridge. Given the lack of cordial relations between their families, the two merely exchanged indifferent glances before Jin Zan closed his eyes. Lu Changsheng paid it no mind and sat quietly in meditation. In the following days, more people trickled in periodically. One day, an exceptionally handsome young man stepped into the palace, causing Lu Changsheng's heart to throb faintly, an odd sense of foreboding washing over him. The young man's gaze immediately locked onto Lu Changsheng. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1286. Lu Changsheng's heart trembled. A cultivator's spiritual sense was extraordinary, rarely stirred without reason. Having broken through to core formation and awakened the Tai divine soul, his heightened perception made it even less likely for this inexplicable unease to occur for no reason. Through this faint, fleeting sense of unease, Lu Changsheng vaguely sensed an intriguing familiarity coming from the other party. Familiarity? Lu Changsheng was certain he had never met or known the other party before. So, the other party was most likely disguised. Peach Blossom Gu, activate. Lu Changsheng recalled a similar feeling when he encountered Meng Xiaochan in Jianghu Immortal City back in the day. Withdrawing his gaze, he questioned the Peach Blossom Gu. Buzz, in an instant, the Peach Blossom Gu transmitted a message through intent, indicating a strong intertwining of peach blossom luck between the two of them. Nangong Meili. Through this surge of peach blossom luck, Lu Changsheng immediately deduced the other party's identity. It was none other than the woman he had once pierced through with a spear, whose hips were as round as grinding stones. As for the feeling of familiarity, he now understood its origin. It stemmed from the misty sky bead he had given her and the sliver of golden core charm he had nurtured for her. Why does this woman always seek out such perilous situations? Lu Changsheng felt a twinge of displeasure in his heart. A mother with a child should stay home to care for her daughter. Why wander around Jianghu country's cultivation realm all day long? First, the Jianghu Immortal City incident involved her. Now, the Tianyuan secret realm does too? Does she purposely seek out danger wherever it arises? But meeting her isn't altogether bad. It's high time I resolve the entanglement between us. When the time comes, traveling to the Jin kingdom with her to visit Yao Yao will be much more convenient. Lu Changsheng's expression remained calm and composed, though he contemplated inwardly. He planned to make a trip to the cultivation realm of the Jin kingdom after the emergence of the Red Lotus. Sar the novel_fire. ed website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Yet, he knew very little about the Jin kingdom. Reuniting with his daughter might prove challenging. With Nangong Meili accompanying him, however, things would be far easier. As for whether she was willing or not, Lu Changsheng trusted in his own charm. Lu Changsheng? Lu Changsheng's perception hadn't erred. The handsome young man before him was indeed Nangong Meili in disguise, using the misty sky bead. Seeing Lu Changsheng, Nangong Meili also appeared slightly shaken and surprised. How unexpected, encountering him here. This saves me an extra trip. Nangong Meili barely glanced at Lu Changsheng before calmly finding a spot to sit cross-legged. Originally, she had planned to visit by Lake Mountain after the Secret Realm expedition to check on Lu Changsheng. Now, seeing Lu Changsheng here, she decided to wait for the right moment to abduct him instead. Time passed gradually. People arrived at the Grand Hall one after another. Forces like the beast-taming Su family, Five Elements Wang family, Shangguan family, Danxia Mountain, and Huan Yin sect all gathered. Seeing the 5 people arriving from the beast-taming Su family, Lu Chongsheng was slightly surprised. Because Su Ruyan was unexpectedly among them. She's here too? Lu Chongsheng felt a tinge of astonishment. But after a moment, he understood. The beast-taming Su family possessed slots for the secret realm, and as one of the Su family's proudest talents, Su Ruyan receiving a slot was entirely reasonable. He nodded at Su Ruyan as a gesture of acknowledgement but didn't engage her in conversation. Beyond Su Ruyan, he recognized few others. The only one who stood out was a woman with a painted-like visage, her face veiled in white silk, exuding an ethereal charm. She was from the Huan Yin sect, someone he vaguely recalled being called the Qin Fairy, a disciple of the sect master. Qin Fairy. The title amused Lu Chongsheng somewhat. He remembered months ago, his daughter Lu Wangshu had made her name known in the Red Leaf Valley market during a battle, earning the playful epithet, Talisman Fairy. She had complained to him afterward, saying that such titles were utterly overused. In Jianghu country's cultivation realm, titles like Talisman Fairy, Qin Fairy, Sword Fairy, and Flower Fairy were dime a dozen. Once the beast-taming Su family, Danxia Mountain, and Huan Yin sect had all arrived, a 30-strong group entered the hall. They wore the attire of disciples from the Wuxia sect, exuding the imposing presence of Foundation establishment cultivators. It seems unlikely anything major will go wrong in this secret realm. If anything does happen, the 4 great immortal sects will suffer tremendous losses. Lu Chongsheng observed the scene, thinking to himself. Though the 4 great immortal sects were not short of Foundation establishment cultivators, Foundation establishment was not as common as cabbages and formed the backbone of their sections. Besides, these Foundation establishment cultivators weren't ordinary, they were elite disciples within their sections. After the Wuxia sect's arrival, it wasn't long before the Qingyun sect, Spirit Taming sect, and Heavenly Sword sect followed suit. It was Lu Chongsheng's first time witnessing such an enormous gathering. The Grand Hall held nearly 300 Foundation establishment cultivators. If a demonic path true monarch were to attack now, wiping everyone out in one fell swoop, the entire Jianghu country cultivation realm would be half crippled with severe damage to its vital energy. Lu Chongsheng sighed internally, scanning the cultivators present with curiosity, wondering how many demonic path cultivators had managed to blend in. He refused to believe Nangong Mili was the only demonic path nascent soul hiding among them. Just then, ripples began to stir in the void's crack in the distance. Out stepped an old man with white hair and beard, radiating an air of immortality, his robe fluttering effortlessly. Following him was a woman with sword-like brows as sharp as ink-painted mountains, her icy countenance glowing like a snow lotus in bloom. Her high ponytail added to her aloof disposition, and on her back, she carried a magical sword emanating cold, shimmering strands. Greetings, true person Lingfeng. Greetings, true person Qing Yi. Some immediately recognized the 2 figures, expressing respectful gazes and clasping their hands in salute. Even cultivators from family forces who didn't recognize them were well aware that they were core formation immortals from the 4 great immortal sects, prompting them all to bow courteously. Now that everyone has arrived, this old man won't waste time with small talk. Line up in order and enter the secret realm one by one. The immortal-like Lingfeng true person surveyed the crowd before speaking, his tone infinitely kind. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1287. After speaking, he cast a spell toward the crack in the secret realm before him. Suddenly, radiant light surged around the crack, the ground trembled slightly, forming a massive formation about 10 feet wide, interwoven with a layer of shimmering white spiritual light. What kind of formation is this? Lu Chongsheng had some knowledge of formations, but not extensive research, so he couldn't discern what this formation was. However, a few individuals observed the formation with subtle expressions, their expressions carrying a trace of solemnity. Soon, figures began to pass through the formation one after another, entering the secret realm through the crack. Buzz! At that moment, a thin old man stepped onto the array patterns, and suddenly a surge of demonic energy erupted. A demon cultivator. How dare you, demon cultivator! Upon witnessing this demonic energy, someone instantly exclaimed. "S.E.A. the Oval Fire." Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Buzz! In a flash, the kind-looking old man with an immortal demeanor suddenly widened his eyes, his entire presence resembling a mighty lion awakening. The array patterns and prohibitions within the palace surged forth, producing a powerful and terrifying spiritual pressure that bore down on the thin old man. At the same time, Chu Qingjia's azure longsword swiftly unsheathed, unleashing dazzling sword light. Splat! The thin old man was instantly obliterated by the sword light. So this is a nascent soul immortal. How frightening! The crowd stirred in awe, their expressions respectful and reverent as they looked toward Lingfeng Immortal and Chu Qingyi. Especially many of the male cultivators, whose gazes toward Chu Qingyi showed admiration, fascination, and infatuation. Even a false core cultivator has come here hoping to stir up trouble. Lu Chongsheng watched the scene, his expression calm and indifferent. He thought to himself how foolish it was for this false core patriarch to interfere in such matters. Still, he could somewhat understand this behavior. It was likely that as a false core immortal, his lifespan was nearing its end. The Tianyuan secret realm had been spoken of in such a mysterious and miraculous manner, perhaps it contained a supreme opportunity to transform a false core into a true one, so he had come to test his luck. But it's a pity, he didn't even make it through the door. Lu Chongsheng sighed inwardly and shifted his gaze toward the handsome young man disguised as Nangong Meili. He wondered to himself, given that Nangong Meili possessed the misty sky bead, could his disguise avoid detection? If he was detected, the situation would become troublesome. Even if he wanted to intervene, it would be hard to do so. There really are demonic path thieves mixed in among us. Lingfeng Immortal snorted coldly. Then his stern expression returned to its original benevolent visage, and he said to those before him, "Everyone, pay it no mind and proceed." The figures in the crowd resumed lining up, entering the secret realm one by one. Seeing Nangong Meili enter, Lu Chongsheng breathed a slight sigh of relief, silently noting that this formation was somewhat remarkable, but not overly so. Just as it was his turn, a green-clad woman stepped forward, and thin strands of faint demonic energy began to emerge from her body. Lu Chongsheng noticed the sudden danger and immediately stepped back behind the crowd. Boom! In an instant, the palace's prohibition surged, forming a terrifying spiritual pressure that bore down on the green-clad woman. Beside him, Chu Qingyi moved swiftly, her sword light glinting coldly, as if snow were falling in June. The green-clad woman's face shifted, and demonic energy churned around her, manifesting into a black-red demon armor. But within the blink of an eye, Chu Qingji's vast, azure sword light descended, piercing through her demon armor as though ignoring its existence, cleaving her body in two. Yet the moment her body was split in half, she transformed into a cloud of black-red blood mist, surging to engulf the surrounding cultivators. Demonic path thief, how dare you act so boldly? Lingfeng Immortal's voice rang out coldly as he summoned an object resembling a celestial chessboard. Array patterns brimmed with spiritual energy, encasing the blood mist completely. Buzz! The blood mist was immediately confined, revealing a pale, sinister middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's complexion was pale, his left arm shriveled and lifeless, leaving his sleeve empty. This is the substitute tribulation technique? Lu Changsheng's pupils narrowed as he recognized the method. The principle was somewhat akin to substitute talismans. When faced with an unavoidable assault, one could redirect the damage to another object. Among demonic path secret techniques, it often involved sacrificing one's own limbs or internal organs. Go! The sinister man realized it would be impossible to act in the palace and immediately retrieved an ancient jade talisman from his sleeve. Surrounding himself with an invisible layer of spiritual light, he attempted to escape the palace. However, the palace was forged from special materials, inscribed with array patterns. Even a nascent soul immortal could not rush out directly. Simultaneously. Swish, 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 Chu Qingjia's sword emitted bursts of light, slashing toward the sinister man, suffusing the entire palace with an icy, bone-chilling sword intent, cold as the depths of winter. Slash, 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 the sword light shattered the spiritual light surrounding the sinister man, leaving blood marks across his body. His complexion grew pale and weak, and he could only rush toward the entrance portal. The portal too bore prohibitions. But he had used a talisman earlier with forbidden breaking effects, forcefully breaking through the portal and vanishing from sight. The tunnel outside spans several miles, escaping won't be easy. Besides, there are likely ambushes waiting outside. Lu Chongqing observed this with a quiet sigh, feeling that the four great immortal sects' layout was akin to a trap to corner the prey. Even if nascent soul cultivators entered, they faced only death. Moreover, he noticed that the white-robed elder and Chu Qingyi hadn't gone all out earlier. It seemed that both were wary of the sinister man being driven to desperation and self-destructing his core formation, thus leaving him a sliver of hope. After all, even if his abilities were average and his core formation of low quality, the self-destruction of a core within a crowd would still cause considerable trouble. That man earlier was a nascent soul immortal, yet he couldn't muster the strength to fight back. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1288, Fairy Qing-Yi has condensed a superior gold core, how could ordinary people compare? What? This Fairy Qing-Yi actually possesses a superior gold core? No wonder, within the crowd, some gazed at Chu Qingyi and murmured softly. The earlier act of slaying a false core with a single sword strike seemed only natural in everyone's eyes. Yet at this moment, seeing a demonic path nascent soul unable to muster even a counterattack against the two, many in the crowd felt shocked. After a brief commotion, Venerable Lingfeng spoke up and ordered the queue to continue. Lu Chongqing then stepped forward, passed through the formation, and entered the Fisher secret realm. In an instant, the heavens and earth transformed. So this is the Tianyuan secret realm? Lu Chongqing stood amidst a fragrant meadow, surrounded by lush greenery, with towering ancient trees visible in the distance. The cultivators who had entered earlier were all waiting nearby. CTH novel_fire. @ website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Apart from these individuals, there were also two nascent soul immortals stationed here. One of them was someone Lu Chongqing recognized. It was none other than the spirit-taming sect Immortal, Venerable Huxiao, whom he had encountered when visiting the Myriad Beasts mountain range years ago. It seems the four great immortal sects have mobilized all the manpower they can muster for this expedition. Lu Chongqing thought to himself as he surveyed the secret realm. It bore resemblance to the outside world, yet the sky dome lacked the presence of the sun and moon. Despite the abundant spiritual energy, spiritual mechanisms were absent. This secret realm resembles Mount Sumerus cave heaven in certain aspects, yet here the spiritual mechanisms are severed, resulting in a lack of vitality. Lu Chongqing recalled Xiao Xie once explaining the general circumstances of the Tianyuan secret realm. He knew that the four great immortal sects had already emptied this secret realm. Thus, the severed spiritual mechanisms and lack of vitality imparted a somewhat desolate vibe. Even with spiritual mechanisms severed, there's still such an abundance of spiritual energy. This Tianyuan secret realm likely once harbored a fourth-order spirit vein. Observing the flowing spiritual energy within the secret realm, Lu Chongqing mused inwardly. For a moment, it became difficult to imagine just how flourishing this secret realm must have been before its development. Without lingering to observe further, Lu Chongsheng found a spot to sit and rest. After some time, everyone had entered the secret realm, including Venerable Lingfeng and Chu Qingyi. However, Lu Chongsheng keenly noted that 3 individuals were missing compared to before. Likely, after he entered, 3 more demonic cultivators had been discovered and dealt with. "Everyone, follow me." Venerable Lingfeng spoke in a gentle tone, leading the group deeper into the secret realm. This secret realm was vast. Not only did it feature lush forests, but also expansive grasslands, pitch-black mountain ranges, and sprawling ruins of dilapidated structures. Is this merely a secret realm? It might as well be a small world, Lu Chongsheng marveled in his heart. This was his first time entering such a dungeon-like secret realm. Even though the secret realm had been completely developed and left as an empty shell, it still managed to surprise him greatly. After an hour, Lu Chongsheng spotted a towering stone monument ahead, as immense as a small mountain. The monument was grand and magnificent, appearing like stone yet seeming as though forged from gold and iron. It exuded an air of majesty, etched with an ancient and timeless aura. Upon approaching the stone monument, one couldn't help but feel small and insignificant, accompanied by an oppressive heaviness akin to a mountain's weight. "Everyone, this heaven monument is the ultimate opportunity within the Tianyuan secret realm. As long as you calm your heart and contemplate, you may gain insights into the great Tao or receive inheritance of cultivation techniques from the heaven monument." At this moment, Venerable Lingfeng spoke cordially, saying, "All of you present here are either the future hopes of the Jiang country cultivation realm or its pillars and foundations. The 4 great immortal sects offer this rare opportunity for shared benefit, with the hope that everyone will work together to make the Jiang country cultivation realm more prosperous overall, so cherish it well. Should anyone gain a cultivation technique inheritance while contemplating the heaven monument, you will need to transcribe a copy for us. However, the 4 great immortal sects will not take advantage of you. We will provide resources and contribution value proportionate to the value of the cultivation technique inheritance." Venerable Lingfeng, dressed in a flowing white robe, radiated warmth with his gentle demeanor, speaking kindly to the cultivators present. Nonetheless, everyone had glimpsed this immortal's capacity for fierce wrath before. "Thank you, Venerable. Rest assured, Venerable. We will surely cooperate hand in hand with the Supreme Sect. Our family exists today entirely thanks to the Supreme Sect. We will wholeheartedly repay this grace. Without the Supreme Sect, my Wang family wouldn't exist. My family is willing to dedicate everything to the Supreme Sect." Immediately, many clan cultivators voiced their loyalty. As for the disciples of the 4 great immortal sects, they were already familiar with these rules and simply clasped their hands in acknowledgement. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1289, Alright, let's begin. After briefly explaining, Venerable Lingfeng instructed the 9 individuals to step forward and attempt to comprehend the inheritance of the heaven tablet. The first batch of 9 cultivators appeared slightly nervous as they sat cross-legged before the stone tablet, placing both hands upon its surface and channeling their mana into it. Lu Chongsheng quietly observed the scene, trying to decipher the mysteries hidden within the stone tablet. Yet, without utilizing his pupil skills or fire golden eye, Lu Chongsheng couldn't discern anything peculiar. He merely sensed that once the 9 individuals injected their mana, the stone tablet seemed to radiate an endless flow of great Tao principles, exuding a mysterious and profound aura. Could this stone tablet be some kind of inheritance treasure? Lu Chongsheng pondered to himself, watching for a while before ceasing his observation and sitting cross-legged. Time passed little by little. About an hour later, among the 9 individuals comprehending the heaven tablet, one of them opened his eyes with an expression of slight confusion and reluctance. He gazed at the stone tablet before him, placed his hands on it again, and injected mana. Yet, the stone tablet seemed to possess an invisible force that repelled and rejected him. Everyone can only obtain opportunities from it once. Next. Upon witnessing this, Venerable Lingfeng calmly remarked. He then summoned the individual to inquire about the inheritance opportunity obtained from the stone tablet. Although Lu Chongsheng couldn't hear their conversation, upon seeing Venerable Lingfeng's expression remaining unmoved, he deduced that the cultivation technique inheritance likely did not yield any surprises. According to Shiyu, the Heaven Tablet offers each individual a unique Great Tao insight and cultivation technique inheritance, though repetitions may occur. The 4 great immortal sects have released such benefits not only to win over people's loyalty but also to gather all of Jiang country's extraordinary talents. Presumably, they aim to extract as many cultivation techniques from this event as possible. Moreover, even if family forces obtain top-level cultivation techniques, all the spells and methods of these techniques are firmly controlled by the 4 great immortal sects, including ways to counteract or deconstruct them. Lu Chongsheng mused inwardly. And so, time continued to pass bit by bit. The cultivators present stepped forward in an orderly fashion to comprehend the Heaven Tablet. During this process, Lu Chongsheng noticed a pattern. The longer one's comprehension lasted, the greater the likely benefits. As for the factors determining the duration of comprehension, Lu Chongsheng remained unclear, speculating it might relate to talent, comprehension, cultivation level, realm, and other such factors. On this day, Lu Chongsheng observed a young man finishing his comprehension of the Heaven Tablet. After handing over the cultivation technique inheritance to Venerable Lingfeng, the man's hand, retreating into his sleeve, seemed to execute a furtive motion. The motion was subtle and concealed. If not for Lu Chongsheng having awakened the Tai divine soul, with a divine sense rivaling the peak of core formation, and coincidentally looking toward the man, he might not have even noticed it. Could this man be a demonic path cultivator? Lu Chongsheng speculated internally, finding the man's behavior suspicious. He even suspected the man to be a demonic path nascent soul cultivator who, after comprehending the Heaven Tablet and confirming its contents, was now transmitting information to the outside world. Still, though he had noticed something was amiss, speaking up about it now was unwise. After all, there were 4 nascent soul immortals presiding over this place. If he, merely at Foundation establishment mid-stage, suddenly voiced suspicions about someone, it would seem unreasonable. Moreover, the 4 great immortal sects had laid down a heaven and earth net within the Tianyuan secret realm, and this situation might well be intentional. If chaos truly erupts, I hope it waits until I've finished comprehending the Heaven Tablet. Lu Changsheng's expression remained composed. Although his interest in the Heaven Tablet's inheritance wasn't profound, since he was here, he naturally wished to experience it. However, not long after, boom! Suddenly, a deafening sound of collapse tore through, causing the entire secret realm to tremble and quake violently. Sir, the novel, F. Iyer. Enter website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What's happening? What's going on? All present abruptly opened their eyes, their expressions marked by confusion, surprise, and dread. Even those still comprehending the Heaven Tablet snapped awake, bewildered and uncertain, glancing around in mutual astonishment. Is there really a demonic path disturbance? Lu Changsheng's heart surged with surprise, confirming his earlier observation of information being transmitted externally. Otherwise, could it truly be mere coincidence? Moreover, the intensity of this commotion indicated the intruders were no ordinary individuals. Chu Qingyi, Venerable Huxiao, and several others furrowed their brows in unison, collectively gazing toward the entrance of the secret realm. Remain calm. Venerable Lingfeng seemed to have anticipated this scenario, taking a step forward and shouting with a deep voice. As he spoke, the power and presence of nascent soul-level mana pervaded the area, bringing the chaotic atmosphere to an abrupt halt. I trust you've all heard the rumors about certain demonic path thieves coveting the opportunities within this secret realm. But these inherited opportunities within the secret realm are not yours for the taking, those rats in the shadows who dare come will face utter annihilation. Clad in a flowing white robe, his hair and beard snow-white, Venerable Lingfeng exuded an aura of divine majesty, yet his tone carried undeniable authority and resolve. After finishing, his demeanor shifted, his expression stern and resolute as he said, "Many among you have yet to encounter demonic path cultivators. But the cultivation realm of Jiang country has always stood in opposition to the demonic path. And so, I must remind you all, we, as cultivators, wrest life from the heavens. If you wish to break through core formation or nascent soul, then in the future, you will inevitably clash with the demonic path. Only by harboring no fear, cutting through myriad demons, both external and internal, can you navigate the thorny path to seek your true self and inquire of the great Tao of Changsheng." Venerable Lingfeng's robe billowed as he spoke with an overwhelming presence, his voice projecting clearly into everyone's ears. "Thank you for the guidance, Venerable Immortal. We understand. Rest assured, Venerable Immortal, should we encounter demonic path cultivators, we will harbor no fear and show no mercy. We stand firmly opposed to the demonic path." The gathered cultivators, hearing these words, felt their anxiety dissipate instantly, knowing the four great immortal sects were fully prepared. They bowed respectfully and spoke out loudly. However, Lu Changsheng couldn't help but notice that while many family cultivators displayed seemingly passionate and resolute expressions, their behaviors were clearly superficial and ingratiating. Only the disciples of the immortal sects truly exhibited stirred emotions and steadfast determination. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1290, This is Normal. They all belong to the elites of their sects, instilled from the very beginning of their cultivation with the notion of being irreconcilable with the demonic path. Throughout their growth in cultivation, many have either personally experienced or witnessed incidents involving the demonic path. Like the demon subjugation order several decades ago, many participated, heard of it, and firmly believed themselves to be righteous, with the mission of slaying demons and vanquishing devils. However, when Lu Changsheng saw the youth disguised by Nangong merely shouting passionately in response, a strange feeling welled up in his heart. As a core formation immortal, Venerable Lingfeng's spiritual sense was extraordinary, and he naturally understood that most of the clan cultivators here were seasoned veterans. Thus, he didn't pay much attention to these people. If a war between the righteous and demonic paths truly broke out, would these clan cultivators even have the luxury to refuse? Besides, once war begins, it could also serve as a stepping stone for clan cultivators to rise in status. If you don't fight, someone else certainly will. But in the very next moment, boom, 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 another series of earth-shattering sounds erupted, making the entire secret realm quake violently as if an earthquake had struck. Venerable Lingfeng's face suddenly changed dramatically. Not just him, Chu Qingyi, Venerable Huxiao, and another core formation immortal all shared the same sudden, drastic change in expression, exchanging glances. Immediately, Venerable Lingfeng looked at everyone present and said, "Now that the demonic path cultivators are attacking, the matter of comprehending the heavenly monument will be postponed for the time being. First, you will retreat with me." Could the situation have taken a turn? Looking at the scene before him and the expressions of the four, Lu Changsheng sensed that something was wrong. If the four great immortal sects had already laid down a heaven and earth net to trap and kill intruders, how could it have turned out like this? Indeed, the four great immortal sects could ensnare and slaughter by luring people in. But if the demonic path had sent people, they could also block the exits of the secret realm, trapping prey like turtles in a jar. Moreover, mixed within the group of present cultivators were a fair number of core formation experts from other countries. If this group colluded with the individuals outside, it would spell major trouble. In an instant, Lu Changsheng became even more cautious. Sarch * the Nefire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Many of the cultivators present also began to sense that something was amiss. Yet, at this moment, no one dared to slack off or voice doubts. They all obediently followed Venerable Lingfeng's guidance. Moments later, Venerable Lingfeng summoned an array plate and formation flags, directing everyone to designated positions. He promptly commanded the disciples of the 4 great immortal sects to arrange themselves systematically, forming an overwhelming battle formation through tokens and secret techniques. Battle formation. Lu Chongqing observed how the disciples of the 4 sects synchronized their auras until they exuded a force so powerful it seemed capable of swallowing rivers and mountains. It was clearly some kind of battle formation. The 4 sects' foundation establishment disciples had each formed their own formation. If they went all out, they might even hold their own against a core formation immortal. Damn it, this Venerable Lingfeng clearly knows there are demonic path core formation experts mixed in here. Lu Chongqing thought to himself as he observed the strategic placements. The clan cultivators, including himself, were intentionally positioned out to the side. Meanwhile, the disciples of the 4 great immortal sects had taken the central and most fortified positions, their formations arranged in 4 directions. It was evident that Venerable Lingfeng was aware of the presence of foreign core formation experts among them but hadn't pinpointed their exact identities. If an unexpected situation really arises, I'll have no choice but to disguise myself as a core formation cultivator from another country. Lu Chongqing murmured to himself, keeping an eye on the previously suspicious cultivators. By now, he was almost certain that the current chaos in the secret realm was connected to those individuals. Boom, 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 the secret realm trembled more intensely, nearly to the point of collapse, with the surrounding spiritual energy becoming increasingly chaotic. Venerable Immortal, may I ask if staying here poses any danger to us? If the demonic path is attacking, we are willing to contribute our efforts. A moment later, a bold clan cultivator couldn't contain himself, gritting his teeth and addressing Venerable Lingfeng. Outside the secret realm, Xianjian True Monarch is standing guard. It won't be long before these demonic path thieves are dealt with. Venerable Lingfeng replied calmly, his expression composed. Xianjian True Monarch. What? Xianjian True Monarch is actually standing guard outside the secret realm. Could all this commotion be Xianjian True Monarch engaged in a fight? Hearing this name, everyone gasped in surprise, their eyes filled with reverence and awe. Xianjian True Monarch, the ruler of the Jianghu country cultivation realm, the ocean-calming divine needle. No one would doubt the strength of this nascent soul true lord. Upon hearing that this true monarch was holding the line outside the secret realm, those who were previously anxious and fearful quickly felt reassured. Even Lu Chongqing was taken aback by this revelation. Yet, deep in his heart, his worry only deepened. If Xianjian True Monarch had come to oversee the Tianyuan secret realm and had caused such an immense disturbance, it meant that the demonic path, or perhaps other factions, might also have a nascent soul true lord present. And for a demonic path true monarch to dare infiltrate the Jianghu country cultivation realm, they must be thoroughly prepared. The Tianyuan secret realm has drawn so many core formation immortals here. There must be some powerful force orchestrating this behind the scenes. Could it be this very faction? Lu Chongqing couldn't believe that his first journey into a secret realm had turned into such an ordeal. Damn it, and I haven't even comprehended the great Dao insights from the heavenly monument yet. Thinking of his original purpose for coming here, Lu Chongqing felt deeply frustrated. But given the current circumstances, he had no choice but to wait and see how events unfolded. Rumble, 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 the tremors of the secret realm grew increasingly violent, as if the entire earth were collapsing and crumbling. Just then. Boom! A deafening sound, like the sky shattering and the earth splitting, erupted. In an instant, the sky changed color, and thunder roared. No, the heavenly monument has collapsed. Someone cried out, looking toward the monument, their voice trembling with fear. They saw the towering heavenly monument, once standing like a mountain, now breaking apart under the tremors and crashing down catastrophically. Whoosh, 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 as the monument fell, a vast, ancient, gray-black mist roared upward like a gaping abyss, swallowing the boundless spiritual energy between heaven and earth. The sky resounded with thunderous roars, as if demons were shrieking and ghosts were wailing. Kill, kill, kill. I hate, I hate, I hate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible.